Guess what?
What?
I beat Firuja.
अरे सही है बढ़िया चलो awesome पार्टी
अरे यार शिट 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 मैं बोर्ड शेयर कर रहा हूँ. सॉरी सॉरी.
हाँ
एक सेकंड मैं खोल.
hello welcome back everyone. This is the last and final weekend of the GCL contenders. We are in semi-final Saturday mode and Grandmaster Sahaj Grover with me. Are you excited for the knockout challengers semi-final, Sahaj?
Very, very excited, and I think we are slightly a bit late because the games are already live. We are seeing the match between Yulia Osmak and Padmini Raut, and there is another match going on between Mai Narva and Olivia Kyolbasa. We are already in some French territory. I'm assuming, and I think she has gone for the advanced setup. What do you make of this position? I think White has maybe some slight advantage.
Yeah, definitely some slight advantage, but I think Padmini normally plays either the Sicilian on the French, so opting for the French this time. So, says there's some strategy going on. It's a two-game mini match, one and a half goes through. So, ideally, you want to play a little bit safer as black and try more as the white pieces. So, I think that is going to be Padmini's strategy. So, we are down to the final four players, Chad. One of these four players, Sahaj, will be taking the flight to Mumbai. Who is your pick among these four to come to Mumbai?
I'm gonna root for my country mate Padmini Raut. I feel like she has a very solid chance. Plus, she went for the French defense, which is a long time favorite of mine.
Mm.
It's the first opening that I ever learned in chess. So,
Oh,
some
okay.
some nice memories there for the especially with the black pieces. I think I'm gonna say Padmini Raut. And what about you? Who do you think is gonna qualify?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think all four strong players, but I'm going to go for the Estonian number one. My Narva is my prediction. Of course, rooting for Padmini, but since you already like chosen her, I think my Narva, who's playing Olivia Kiolbasa, and today Sahaj looks like Olivia made it in time from her OTB game as she is already playing against against my Narva there. So just two games to focus, Sahaj. Our attention is going to be pretty easy to divide 50% to both games. And yeah, exciting stuff. And this has it come from a Sicilian? No, not a Sicilian.
I think it's some
It's something.
e4, e5, some some sideline that black has gone for. That's my guess. I mean, we can quickly take a look what happened. So bishop b5, a6, bishop a4,
Royal of
b5.
Paris.
So this is now, I think, already some some sideline. Maybe she has prepared for this, beforehand. It can be a nice weapon, this knight f5, especially in faster formats. So let's see how this actually
Mhm.
pans out for her. She goes short castle, d6, takes, bishop b7, c4 she plays. I think a very nice move, sort of getting away from the c5, c4 ideas. And black goes c5 and she plays knight to f5, g6, knight e3, and bishop g7. And this is the current position on the board. And just I want to say one more thing. I mean, if we look at the time difference between these two players, it's around 3 minutes. It's safe to say that this sideline or sort of this gamble that she went for has worked out well for her so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sahaj, look at the clock. Just 6 minutes, 13 seconds remaining. Out of the 10, remember there is zero, zilch, nada, negative, zero increment there for the players, Sahaj. And looks like this opening gamble has worked out. And in fact, I'm getting some updates. Narva and Yulia Osmak are
Hmm.
playing in the European Team Championship side. So
Oh,
it's only Padmini Rao who's maybe well rested, but maybe the other three are more sharper, Sahaj.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, playing world teams and then playing this event right after definitely can be, a challenging task. But wishing the best for both of these players. Right now, after knight takes b5, looks like White has sort of snatched back that advantage. She is currently a pawn up in this position, but the next few moves are not so easy. Like for example, knight takes d6 is
Mhm.
what I would go for in this position, just snatching that pawn. But there are some calculation that you have to do, because after knight d6, if I go knight takes b3, remember you cannot capture back with your queen because the your knight is hanging on d6. So according to the bar, at least the best move is bishop. Wow,
Ah.
she plays it. Bishop d5 on the board.
Wow. I think protecting the pawn and also challenging the bishop. But Sej, I'm just worried about the time situation there. 5.5 minutes in this position doesn't look very promising for my.
For sure, yeah. I think because 5.5 minutes, even if you have a substantial advantage, this is going to catch up to you. I think we saw a similar story yesterday in many different games where having this advantage on the board is not enough. You also have to manage your time, because remember, to everyone watching, there is no increment in this
Mhm.
format. So when there is no increment and that clock hits below the 1 minute mark, unless you are a queen up, it is a very difficult thing to convert, because um, it can be a gamble. So but anyways, I think the time difference is kind of becoming a bit more balanced. It's only 1.5 minutes, as opposed to 3 minutes. So looking like a decent position for my Narva so far, and Kiolbasa in deep thought. While she is thinking, maybe we can take a quick look at
Yeah.
Yulia versus Padmini as well, because she has committed a slight inaccuracy with knight to h5, and now Padmini has to make some precise moves in order to not get in trouble.
Oh, yeah, that is very important point that you're bringing up, Sahaj, because knight h5 is like a small door or small window of opportunity that Padmini has to capitalize on. Just 5 minutes for her. Her situation is in fact worse than Kiolbasa and Minerva on the clock. Sahaj, do you think Padmini can pull this to get some counterplay going on the left side of the board?
I would hope so, because if she's not able to at least neutralize the attack on the king side and find some counterplay, because she has some nice pawns on the queen side over here, and this can become a problem in the later part of the game. But right
Mhm.
now the problem is I have one, two, three, four, five pieces directly looking at the king, and that is not a good sign. Like for example, if you played this innocent looking move knight takes h5, I believe this is just GG.
Uh-oh.
Queen takes h5 and it's over, game over.
Oh, in fact, I was also thinking maybe bishop at 7, but yeah, queen at 5 is just GG ahead. So, how does black actually take advantage of this inaccuracy, Sahaj?
So we are seeing from the blue arrow that knight takes e5 played, by the way, the only move in the position to survive. And now white can play d takes e5, or white can play bishop takes f6. Both of them, I think, put a lot of pressure on black's camp, because once you play d takes e5, I'm somehow thinking about this. Like if I take this, black goes knight h5. I'm assuming this is the only move. You go queen h5, and now you're supposed to play g6. And remember that in your mind, you're always thinking about the possibility of bishop takes g6, which can be a bit dangerous in this position. However, it's not working though. It's not working, because after g6, bishop g6, we have this beautiful intermezzo of bishop takes g5. And look at this queen, sort of defending the h7 pawn, and at the same time guarding all of these perpetual check ideas in the position as well. So that could have happened, but however, she did not go for this. After knight takes e5, she went for bishop f6, and black plays bishop takes f6, and this is the current position.
Yeah, really love that analysis there. Deep dive by Sahaj, and let's jump into the other semi-final, Sahaj, because looks like Kiol Basa is taking over in that one.
Oof. Yep, that time difference looking very, very dangerous, and also the position looks very dangerous. First of all, she has a double bishop advantage, and both of these
Mhm.
bishops are super active in the position. White does seem to have an extra pawn, but there is no harmony in the position, I feel, because bishop on c1, rook on b1, queen on d1, these pieces are not super active. And this knight on d6, I'm not sure if it's either active or it is exposed. It can be either. But right now, Queen H for a slight inaccuracy, and now my Narva has a chance to equalize matters, but that move is insanely difficult to find. Do you want to guess what the move is, Rakesh?
I don't know. Something
Just
like,
based on instinct, if you had to just say a move, just blurt it out. What
knight
would it be?
f5.
So I was thinking the exact same thing as you, but it's actually not working. But a
Okay.
very good try, because I think knight f5 feels like okay, let's try and mess up the situation and see what happens. But why it's so weird is because you have to look on the queen side instead of the king side. You have to play b4. G3 was also fine, but black is going to go queen h3 now, and then you still have to find this idea of b4 and developing the bishop via b2, and that's the only move that equalizes matters. As we can see from the our blue arrow over here, it tells us the only move to survive here. If she doesn't find b4 at this very moment, it's over. The game is over.
I think it's still game over with just 2 minutes 44 seconds remaining. And while Dr. Shrey and Pardesi in the YouTube chat, hello everyone, welcome, welcome. This is the semi-finals of the women's sec category here in the Knockout Challengers Edge. Actions heating up. Let's have a quick look at the other board as well to see how Yulia Osmak has kind of taken over and enjoying a pleasant advantage.
Ooh, that looks very nice. Although I'm not happy being a French player myself, I'm not super happy, but I think this position is a nightmare for any French player. This bishop on c8 is so bad at
Yeah.
the moment, right? Because it's blocked by all of these pawns over here. And this pawn on f4 can be a potential weakness to be exploited in the later part of the game. And let's not also forget that she has a 3 minute disadvantage, against Yulia Osmak over here. So I think things are not looking very promising for Padmini, but still it's a bit early days. Anything is possible. Let's see how she fights back. She goes queen f5, threatening this. It's not really a mate, but white can play bishop d1. But having this idea is quite nice because you can take this pawn on b2. Let's see how she pairs up here. What do you think? If you had to choose a color here, do you think white is completely winning, or do you think black has some chances to hold back?
Completely winning, Sahaj. It's just GG one-sided play coming up. Even like a move like Queen takes pawn, Sahaj here, Queen h3. If even if black gets that, just Queen takes f4, and it's again Black's king is the one in danger. So I think it's going to be a miracle for Padmini to turn this around.
Yeah, also let's not forget the time as well, because the time is a very big issue,
Yeah,
because I think it's very, very difficult to hold this position down with such little time on the clock. She plays h5, she's still trying to fight on. Oh, but there's a very nice tactic for Yulia in this position, which is bishop takes d5. And once you go e takes d5, I have this e6 check, and that is GG.
GG. Absolutely. And Padmini and Minor are both down on the clock, both down in the position. Let's have a quick look again on the other board as well. Says action heating up on both boards. Might be that we might have two winners already, Sanch.
It is possible, definitely possible, but looks like my Narva is holding on for now. Although, judging by the time, it's not looking very promising for her because she only
Yeah.
has a minute and a half left and there is no increment on the clock. So, even if the position is a draw, Olivia can try to flag her, which I think is a very big possibility here. Although, I would be interested to know how this game turned out, because she was completely winning before, and I remember the move was b4 for Minerva to find, but that pawn is still on b2, so she didn't find b4, but somehow I think Olivia probably misplayed, I'm guessing, at some point, but I still think she has a decent chance of pulling a win here.
Yeah, absolutely. We see A shake of the head from Olivia. Maybe she missed something on a tactic. She's gotten her composure back. Bishop f3, the white king, even though it has an escape square, the back rank is going to be weak for her, Sahaj.
Absolutely. And also, let's not forget, black's back rank can also become a potential problem because this bishop on c3 is very smartly just waiting for this bishop to move, maybe take this pawn on e3, and then suddenly black's back rank also becomes a problem. But nobody's taking it. She's not going to take on e3, and white is just waiting for that moment to happen. Hopefully, I think she's gonna get her king out, maybe to the center. Okay, she makes a waiting move with rook e7. I think a very logical move to not allow rook a7, and white goes rook a4. This is the moment. Are you going to take or no? She says no. I
He
am not
says
going
no,
to
and
take.
white under 55 seconds, Sahaj. Things are getting serious. Padmini also down to a minute. Both semifinals are going neck to neck.
Oof, this is very, very stressful. Super stressful, I think. But I have seen this story play out in some moments where black sort of overestimates their chances and then
Uh-huh.
overplays somehow, and black also has a chance to lose. So let's not, take that possibility completely out of the picture because I think it is possible. In fact, you're seeing the bar jump up a bunch of times here. Like in the previous move, she could have gone bishop takes d4, and that would not be easy for her to deal with. And let's see what she does now. She goes rook c4. She's just making waiting moves, just trying to, not lose on time, which I think is a good strategy. Finally, she takes on d4. Black captures with the d pawn. Knight c4. This can go either ways, Rakesh.
This
Either
can
I
go
feel.
either way. And speaking of going either way, let's see how Padmini has turned it around, Sahaj, and is kind of safe. Can't believe it. Like she has survived that position.
Wow, so we have two games, both of them, there's a sizable time difference, but the position is roughly balanced. So in both games, anything is possible because, again, Yulia is in the same sort of situation as Kyolbasa because she had a winning position and now she has to digest the fact that it's not winning anymore, which is not an easy thing to accept, I think, in such short amount of time. Black again, Padmini is making these waiting moves with Bishop G6, Bishop F7, and trying to get her in time pressure. She's almost at half a minute. This looks
That
stressful to me.
it's not easy at all, says both players hanging on by the skin of their teeth, but no player is giving up. Eval bar is 0.00. This is the semi-finals of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League contenders. Says what a fight.
Ooh, and there is a mistake by Padmini Raut. Rook takes g8 and queen takes c6. In hindsight, it looks like an easy move to play, but if I didn't know it, I don't know if I would be
Misses.
able to spot it.
She misses, but again, says the 20-second mark is such a big barrier. I think
Mhm.
that's gonna be the Achilles heel for Padmini because you just if White plays 20 legal moves, it's not easy for Padmini to finish the game in time.
For sure. For sure. She just has to keep making moves and not simplifying matters whatsoever. 15 seconds for Padmini. This can go either way. She's holding on really well so far, but let's see if she can
The
put the
12
pressure. Queen,
seconds,
oof,
too little,
12
Sahaj.
seconds. No other move. There's no wait for white to make any improvements here anymore. Yeah, King G8, by the way, wow, only move found in such a short amount of time. That's super impressive from Padmini here. She goes bishop e2. Okay. Now
Oh
e5,
yeah,
slight inaccuracy. Okay,
five
5 seconds on the clock.
seconds. Going to end soon. Padmini Raut played a fantastic, in fact, even better, but Sahaj 2 seconds. The no increment thing is brutal.
No, at this point, you can even just go bishop h5 and just it's kind of no, just
Yeah,
just flag your opponent straight up. Yeah. Oh, she
just
has
don't
less
get
than a
checkmated.
second. Just queen f7 is the way to go here. That's it. Oh, okay, okay.
She
And she
let's
loses on
jump to
time.
the other games ahead where my Narva is completely winning. She has
Wait,
turned it
what a
around, and how?
wow, she has 19 seconds on the clock, but will she be able to convert this with such a little amount of time? That's the question because when you have no increment, it can be very stressful.
Now we see the double shake of the head from Olivia Kiolbasa. She realizes what she has done. She had to think but a little while earlier. 93 white is a knight and 2 pawns up the hedge. Do you think she can
Yup,
make in
absolutely.
17 seconds?
I'm hoping for some. I mean, I mean, the only way she can survive this is if it's a stalemate of some sorts. But I think that's not probably possible anymore. She's repeating, wow, she's okay with a draw. And Kyolbasa says no. She wants to play on time.
Wow. No way. But yeah, just
Wow.
9.7 seconds. That's good enough if you're a good bullet player.
Hmm.
See, both players still thinking, Sahaj, all three results
Oh,
possible. This is
Rook
the
Knight versus
beauty
Rook.
of. Oh my god!
She doesn't take it. She doesn't take. She wants to play on.
Take the rook!
Oh, that's a draw. That's a draw.
Draw, draw. Oh my god!
You
What
know,
a game!
this was insane. But I think a part of me is thinking that Kyolbasa is not happy with the fact that she took the knight with the rook here. Because if she took it with the king, then she was
Oh,
going into
yeah.
king rook with 5 seconds extra, and that is a way to win here. So, but yeah, it was a very good fight. And yeah, the game ends in a draw. So first game is a draw. Second game between Yulia and Padmini. Yulia has defeated her, and both games. Oh, the games have already begun.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, both games have begun. And Sahaj, you're absolutely right. Uh, Kulbasa wanted to, play till the end.
Hmm.
Sorry, I think I lost you, Sahaj.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I
Yeah,
can hear. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you broke up for a bit there, but yes, I can hear you. By the way, we have Moscow variation on the board, and Kyolbasa, of course, trying to score that win in this match because in the previous match she had a very good chance. She had a sizable time advantage as well, but in the end, she was completely lost. So what a roller coaster it was, and now she's looking to score that win. If you had to choose one player, Rakesh, who is going to win?
Oh, that's a toughie. But this, I think I'm just hoping for an Armageddon here, Sahaj,
Oh, that
because
would be
we
fun.
saw how the time scramble happened. So, and at least I today we have less fewer matches, Sahaj, than normal, but would
Mm-hmm.
love an Armageddon in at least one of the games. And just to notify chat again, Dr. Shree was asking us our channel. He was checking what's the format. So it's a two-game mini match, Sahaj, and the any player who goes to 1.5 first wins. Time control 10 plus 0.
It's very, very simple. Yeah, very clean, very simple to understand. I think. I also think the fact that there is no. I always prefer watching matches and commentating on matches that don't have an increment because I think it brings out that. I mean, we saw it in so many different matches. Especially in Norway chess, where so many highlights were
Oh,
made. So I love this format, especially when there is no increment on the clock. I think it just brings out a different side of the game, which I absolutely love.
yeah,
But yeah,
for sure, for sure.
knight c6 played, attacking this knight on d4. White has to retreat back with knight d2. Oh, she chooses the wrong knight. But this is a mistake. I'm not really sure why this is a mistake. I mean, generally speaking, when you have a Maroczy type of a structure, you want the knight on c3 and the other knight on e2. This is like the normal way to play so that this knight can somehow jump to d5. I'm guessing this is the reason why knight c2 is a slight inaccuracy here. But in order to capitalize this,
Also,
black has
maybe
to
what
play
if
d. Mhm.
yeah. Black might play d5, but what about h6? And your bishop has to retreat all the way back to c1, maybe. Is that the reason the other knight was preferred?
Oh, could be, but I'm curious, why can I not go bishop h4, g5, and bishop g3? I mean, I get that this bishop is not really ideally placed because I want this
Mhm.
bishop on e3 instead. But yeah, I think maybe, yeah, you're right. Bishop c1, bishop b2 is probably what white had to do in that position. But she goes for a6. She's hoping for some b5 break at some point. And now white has to sort out this mess on the center because this knight is pinned. The pieces are not placed comfortably, let's say. Let's push h3. Let's kick this knight and bring this bishop back to e3. And I think white will start to feel sort of comfortable again.
Speaking of white being comfortable, it's Padmini Rao who has played F4 Sahaj. If you go to her game quickly, she has touched the golden pawn. She's
Oof.
ready to, launch an king's head attack. A rook lift might be coming in. The bishop is eyeing the F7 square, pawns on E4 and F4 Sahaj. She's in must-win situation. Do you approve of this golden pawn move?
I think in this case it is played because she wants to attack, and I think when you want to attack,
Uh-huh.
then the goal I think is bishop before was an inaccuracy, Yulia. Now Padmini is back in the on the driver's seat. Right now, don't care about this pawn. Just sacrifice it. Be okay with it. She can play rook d1, allow bishop takes c3, and maybe even capture back with the queen. And this pawn is more or less poisoned. But the
Yep.
wrong thing
Yep.
to do here would be to play rook e1 and defend this pawn because that's a defensive approach.
Love that, Sahaj. It's also in the spirit of the tournament. Padmini, doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 1.5. Let's go for the win. Rook a1, attacking the bishop, asking that bishop a question. And the problem for black is, black, oh, she goes for it, Sahaj. And Yulia can never really go bishop to e6 because of the f5 skewer.
Oh, right. That's actually quite clever. So bishop e6 is not possible. Rook d1, beautiful move, by the way, by Padmini. And now Yulia is in some trouble. Bishop c3, now take with the queen. Remember, this pawn is poisoned because let's say queen c3, if you capture with the queen, then white can just go rook e1 and take this rook on e8 because it's not
Yep.
defended. And if you take with the rook, then we have this very beautiful rook d8 check. King goes to h7 and simply bishop d3, pinning the rook and the queen. So it is not possible to take this with either pawn. However, she makes a mistake and goes b takes c3 instead. And black plays bishop g4. What is happening?
Yeah, I gave that one or half of chance that she needed, and I think maybe it looks like Yulia is out of the woods, Sahaj, because
By
bishop
the
is developed. Now you can go rook d8 and throw the bishop back to c8.
She might not be out of the woods yet because Padmini did find the only move and
Uh-oh.
she has a almost a winning advantage in this position because this bishop on g4, hello, it is trapped. It doesn't
Mhm.
have any escape squares, and it's only a matter of time before I play h3 and g4, and this bishop has no escape squares anymore. I think Yulia is in deep trouble.
Oh my God, that would be an epic clash. And if she takes it to Armageddon, and Padmini would be really happy to do that. Meanwhile, Sage, if we go to the other game, my nervous is why should I play an Armageddon if I can get it done in the two-game format?
Ooh, what is going on? Is she losing a pawn? I think she's losing a pawn by
Yeah, I
force.
don't see any reason like knight e5 and smash on c4.
Actually, it's a very nice tactic, yeah, because if you go knight e5, let's say you play queen e2 just to keep an eye on the pawn, it doesn't matter. I can still take it because this bishop d4 is hanging now. It's a very nice tactic, I think, in the position. And it's only a matter of if my Narva is able to find this, because if she doesn't find knight e5,
Mhm.
Olivia can still bounce back in this position. But after knight e5, it is almost a losing game.
Yeah, yeah, looks tough. I'm having my eye out for both games, and Padmini has maybe taken over. Sahaj, does she go pawn to f6?
Padmini, okay, let's go back to Padmini's board. This is the current position. Ooh, she has to play F. She plays Bishop D5, by the way. That's the last move on the board. But now I think we
Mhm.
can see the difference between White's this fantastic Bishop on D5 and Black's Bishop is, in comparison, it's not really doing much because Black cannot play F6 like you mentioned. Or she goes King H8 because she's hoping at some point she'll get F6, but that's a mistake. White goes C4. I think she's completely lost.
Yeah, cementing the bishop on d5. Sahaj, normally in this position, black might be a pawn up for the bad bishop or the weak king, but in fact, here white is also a pawn up and has a better position.
That is a great point. You are absolutely right because in such positions, it's usually the other way around. Black is the one who has an extra pawn, and you have all of this compensation. But okay, she has recovered the pawn for now, but White can easily take it back with Rook A2 and Rook A7. So, okay, she plays H3. She's waiting for that move, that G4 idea sometime in the future. She goes Queen G3, not allowing G4 anymore, and she goes Queen F2. Wow, she is set on playing this move G4 because it is unstoppable. You just go rook bf2 and g4 and black just loses a piece.
Yeah, now you are. Oh, she allows bishop to d1, Sahaj.
Is
Was
is
that a
she still
wise
out
idea?
though? Is that working? Because I
Yeah,
feel
okay,
like
then you lose the f7 pawn, but yeah, that should be GG.
yeah, true, true. But yeah, still it's completely I think lost. I think we might see an Armageddon match in this
Wow.
matchup, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Padmini's winning on demand. Okay, yes, the game's not over, but I think it is very close to being over here.
Yeah, bishop gets into d1. I think white can throw in rook b7. Rook on the 7th is on heaven. Attacking f7, attacking a7. Padmini Raut, well done because I think she is forcing the Armageddon here, Sahaj.
For sure. Rook a2 played, by the way, attacking the a7 pawn. She plays rook e7. I am not going to allow you to take this pawn on a7. And now I think Yulia has to find some method to take this bishop because you have covered the a4 square. She cannot go back to h5 because of g4. So that means this bishop is more or less trapped. If you put it on b3, that doesn't really change much because I can play rook b2 always and pin this bishop. So is rook a1 the move? Yep, played.
Sahaj, is there any chance for Yulia to make a comeback, or you think Padmini has this in the bag?
I think I would be shocked if Padmini does not win this. I think even Padmini will be shocked if she does not win this. But maybe there is a slight hope that Black's gonna go Rook takes d5, C takes d5, and Black's gonna play c4. This is some hope in the position, some activity in the game, but I feel it's not gonna amount to much because she has enough time on the clock as well. So I really think Padmini is going to take this W.
And is the yeah, I thought the bishop was trapped, so only move by Yulia is to give up the rook, and now this d pawn is going to decide the game.
Absolutely. She goes e takes d5, black goes bishop takes c4, and now you can play d6 just to defend this pawn on d5. And then maybe you can go rook c1 and rook c5. I mean, this is theoretically a completely winning position. You also have an extra pawn on the d file. You have everything you can ask for.
Yeah, yeah, looks like I think a very very nice game, and she played it in the fashion of an army of playing for a win, and she was rewarded. I hope
For sure.
it should be converted, right, Saj? Like
I
what are
think
the
so. I think it shouldn't be a Oh, there's also rook e1, rook e7 happening in the next few moves, which just completely
Mhm.
seals the deal. If you don't allow rook e1, there's also rook c1, so that's also working. Okay, just rook e1 now. Put the rook on e7. Eliminate the rook. That takes care of all the counterplay that black has in this position. And I think this is GG already. Okay, she plays
Yeah, it
c4.
looks like GG. By the way, my Narva is completely winning. So we'll head there after this
Ooh, but
game has ended, probably because yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Go
By the way,
ahead.
look, there is a nice tactic here. Oh, by the way, this is what I was talking about. C3, and if you go rook takes d7 in this position, then c takes d2 and black is winning.
Oh, oh,
But she goes rook c2, rook
oh,
d6,
yeah,
rook c3,
beautiful.
and
But
okay, some technique
the
needed, I
VAR
guess.
doesn't like it, Sahaj.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. That's for sure. Okay, she attacks the f5 pawn,
But
plays
TK,
g4.
like I think she's at least alive in the match.
Yeah, it's still not over. I think there was an easier way to convert to keep the d6 pawn, but I feel even this position should be technically winning for Padmini. She goes g4,
Mhm.
defends the f5 pawn, and now the a7 pawn is sort of unguarded, so she defends it. Rook c7 played, attacking the f7 pawn. Maybe king g8 can be played here. But I just don't like the fact that this rook is on f6, yeah, because now the entire eighth rank is completely unguarded for Yulia here. So I think this is on the verge of being over.
And said a cute idea I see for white is king g3, king f4, and pawn h4, pawn g5, kind of trapping the rook.
Oh, that's nice. That's because black basically does not have any useful moves in this position. Yes, you can play
Yeah,
h5, take 6, but that doesn't really do much because you can still go king f4 and g5, and this rook will be forced to move. Then you capture the f pawn, and then the entire seventh rank opens up, and that is just GG. Oh, by the way, nice idea here. King f. Oh, I think fg6 I don't like so much. I would have gone king f4, but okay, like gf5 and then g5. Yeah,
yeah,
that was quite
that was
interesting.
much better. But now maybe some back rank check, like ladder checkmates incoming for Padmini. She has 3.5 minutes. I think she should be able to convert this one. Well, let's have a quick look at the other game stage because my Narva is completely winning against Olivia Kiolbasa.
Wow, 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 wow. So she is 2 pawns up at the moment, and I think she can
Mhm.
play ED6 and just go into the queen pawn ending, and I think that's comfortable enough for her. I'm just trying to see if there is any other quicker way to win here. She goes rook c3, okay. Maybe queen e2, but I don't like this because then I have queen b6 check and I just take this bishop for free. She has to
Mhm.
play queen b4, I guess. I think it's the only move. And then just queen a7 check. And then you take on d6. Oh, she's just a piece up. She
Yeah,
has just won a piece. I think this is over.
this is GG. And oh, Sads, the first game was a draw, which means Olivia is gone. It's going to be her last game in in this year's GCL.
Wow. So she is effectively eliminated, I think, after this game. Because queen before this, queen a7 check, king has to sidestep to h1. You go pawn takes d6. And then the problem is that you cannot go rook f6 anymore because your back rank is unguarded. And
Yeah,
that's
let's go to
just a checkmate.
Padmini's game quickly to show.
Oh, this is already over. Padmini has won her match, so
Yeah,
we are headed towards Armageddon. Let's go. That's going to be a lot of fun. So props to Padmini for fighting back and winning on demand. Let's switch back to my Narva versus Basa because this is the only remaining game. And now e takes d6, and I think White can just resign here, yeah? Or do you think White will play on?
I mean, you have to play on Saj. You know, you don't want to be eliminated in this fashion, and especially because there is you don't want to resign. You want to keep fighting Saj. It's your last
Oof.
chance.
Oof, look at this move. This is beautiful. There's finishing, and then there's
Oh
finishing with style.
my
Come on,
my.
let's go. I love this move. Queen f2. What a move. You cannot play rook takes f2 because there's a back rank. White can go queen b1, I guess. Although I feel this was a bit unnecessary because you could have just taken the bishop and White would have just
Yeah,
resigned there. And now you're not winning a bishop anymore.
it's
But I
like
like this move.
unnecessary style. I
But
love this move,
it's
but I would not have played it.
Yeah, it's almost like when you see a move like this, you cannot control yourself from playing it. Yeah, because you see the beauty of it and you just want to play. By the way,
Yeah,
according to Chesscom, that's a brilliancy, by the way, on the board. So,
of course.
um, yeah, Queen C2 played. Now we're gonna offer the trade of queens. I think she says no, 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 no more queen exchange. Ah, Rook C8, and she wins the piece now. Yeah, yeah. Just E takes D6 next. Rook F6 is not possible, and I think this means
That's
this is GG.
Yeah, both players having 1 minute 36 seconds. Any last trick? Olivia has to come up with that if she wants to prolong her game and the stay in this event. Otherwise, Minerva moves on to the finals.
For sure, she has to now think where to put the queen. I mean, ideally, I would place the queen on b6 or a7 because once you take on d6, I will take on f6, and I need my queen on this diagonal so it can go back to g1 and sort of defend. But now that I think about it, if only queen b6 works. Because if you put the queen on a7, then I will have queen b1 check and rook c1, and the game would be over. So queen b6, that's a nice move because if you take on d6, I can still take on f6 and survive. But she goes queen d3, attacking the rook and the bishop. And now she is forced to give up this bishop. And I think we will see a resignation very, very soon from Olivia.
Yeah, I think it's going to be GG for her. And, you know, good fight though, but 40 seconds ahead. It's still complicated, but the draw gives Olivia another crack at the event, but no, it's looking very difficult. 30 seconds for her.
Yeah, sadly not rook e1,
Oh,
queen takes d6. Oh, come on. This is just
yeah,
a
yeah.
free bishop. And she has 27 seconds left on the clock. There is nothing. Oh, by the way, she can go. No, I was thinking queen e4, but that's too much. Yeah, that's not working because the queen defends queen g1. So that does not work here.
That's why you see Black isn't resigning. You know, White isn't resigning to hoping you fall for such tricks. Queen f3, 20 seconds on the clock.
Queen f6, just offer the trade of queens
Nice.
and push the pawn down,
Yeah,
and Olivia will just resign here, I
yeah.
feel.
It's nice.
No,
The
she still
Armageddon
plays
between
on.
Padmini hasn't started, so we stick to this game. Sahed, the pawn just cannot be stopped from queening.
For sure, because this bishop guards this a1 square, a2 incoming. Oh, this is just over. Takes, takes. You have to take, otherwise black can, checkmate on the king side as well. Oh, queen h4 check, bishop d4 check, and queen h1 is just checkmate.
GG.
Oh, queen e3 and then queen takes e1. Yeah, that's also pretty nice. Yep. There we have it. My Narva wins and qualifies into the finals of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. What a performance.
Yeah. GG's to Olivia Kuelbasser. Sadly, she is out. But congratulations to Minerva. She moves on to the final stage, guaranteed of $1,000 in prize money. If she wins tomorrow, she'll be getting $7,500 as well as a ticket to Mumbai for the third edition of the GCL, where she'll be the brand ambassador for season 3. So, what a huge win in her career, and she's never played the GCL. It's going to be huge. But Sahaj, who's going to join by Narva? Will it
That's
be
the
Padmini
question.
Raut or Yulia Osman?
So that's a question we'll find out very shortly, because an Armageddon is on the line. And to those who are just joining us, in the Armageddon, the players will have a bidding process, meaning they will choose. I will play with the black pieces with 7.5 minutes, or 7 minutes and 49 seconds, 7 minutes, and say there's some psychological tactics in this in these situations. But quick question for you, Rakesh. Let's say you're
Yeah.
playing an Armageddon match against someone. Would you choose to be white knowing that you have to win? Or would you choose to be black knowing that all you have to do is hold a draw, but you might have a slight time deficit?
Oh, that's a tough one, Sahaj. I've never played an official Armageddon match myself, but I think the advantage of starting out the game and steering the game in whichever side I want with the white pieces is something I would like, and I anyway play to win. So I would take the white pieces and try to put pressure on my opponent's time.
Think that's a very good strategy. And I was just looking at the scoreboard here between Osmak and Padmini. Both of the players won their matches with the white pieces. And I
Mhm.
think it's a general thing that I think even though black has a slight time disadvantage, it is still nice to have two results going your way. It's if you look
True.
at just pure stats alone, I believe, please don't quote me on this, but I do believe that it is black who tends to be sort of slightly or slightly more comfortable, let's say. So anyone who plays black here in this match, I think, is going to have a slight time issue. um but let's see what happens. By the way, the games are live. She goes for the Reti system, and she chose
Oh,
7
okay.
minutes and 58 seconds or something like that.
Wow, Sahaj. I think both players will be happy with what they wanted, but this just means Padmini, who just beat Yulia with the white pieces, gets a chance again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are you able to hear me?
But this time, no draw allowed
It's
for
my internet or
Padmini.
his? Oh, okay, okay. Rakesh, Rakesh bhai, sorry, I think you cut off for a second there. Could you please repeat yourself?
I can hear you. I can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think if we look
You're
at it
saying
from
all good, all good. I
Padmini's
can hear
I think if we look at it from Padmini's point of view,
you.
she just beat her with equal time on the clock. So now she has to do the exact same thing with her opponent having 2 minutes less. I think that's a very big plus. If you think about it like that, I think it couldn't have gone better.
Advantage. And Saj, if you are the white player, would you recommend keeping that 2 minute advantage always with you?
I would just try to attack as quickly as possible because I would just try to throw everything I have and see what sticks. That would be my strategy in this game. By the way, she goes f3 again, touching the golden pawn, and she goes queen e2. I think a nice idea here could be to bring the knight back to d3 and maybe try for e5 and f4 and create some kingside attacking chances. And now don't exchange pieces, because the more you exchange pieces, the easier
Uh-huh.
it becomes for black to make moves, because the simpler the position, the easier the moves are for you. So I don't like this move so much. I would have preferred knight d3. Okay, but she takes, and now what should she do? Should she go for f4? Should she go for c4? Looking like a difficult situation for Padmini, Rakesh.
Yeah, Saj, do you like the move something like bringing the rook across? A C3, I don't like blocking your own bishop, Saj.
Oof, I think she's really wanting to play the move e5, but she was a bit sort of concerned about this bishop looking at the c2 pawn. That's why she played c3. But the drawback
Mm-hmm.
is that now this bishop on b2 is blocked, right? Because see, the black has played c5. You cannot take this anymore because this bishop is sort of blocked by its own pawn, and that is not very nice. Oof, that's another inaccuracy by Padmini. This is not turning out well for her.
Yeah, and Padmini on the right side, that is above Sahaj, as you can see, looks a little concerned, and rightfully so, Sahaj. I would take black in this position. How about you?
I it's without a question. I think I would take black here. I think no doubt in my mind, unless Padmini finds some crazy f5, g4, g5, just try to launch the attack
Oh.
and throw everything you have. But I feel Yulia has managed her time pretty well so far, and
Yeah.
I think this. Oh, by the way, that's a blunder.
What? Just pawn takes, you can't take with the queen. Bishop c5 is a pin. You capture with the pawn and rook c2. Sahaj.
Oh, this is over. This is already over. Yeah,
Rook
because rook
coming to
c
the seventh rank.
Yeah, bishop a3 is not possible because I can just take, rook takes, and then I'll go queen b4, attacking the knight and attacking the rook as well. So bishop a3 is out of the question. And you have to
Uh-oh.
play a move like bishop c1, which, I mean, when you play bishop c1, you know the position is really bad.
Yeah, I mean, and the problem is for Padmini playing white in an Armageddon, she can't even offer a draw or play for the draw.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even in this position, even if it wasn't an Armageddon, I think she wouldn't have accepted the draw as black. It's a -4 advantage. That is almost a rook.
Yeah.
Almost a rook in in this scenario. So I think Yulia, it looks like she is going to qualify based on how the situation has gone. But okay, the game is not over. Still a half a minute sort of difference between these two players. Black goes rook f c8, joining the open file, threatening rook c3, maybe allowing bishop b4, and white's pieces are just so. Oh, this is really, really bad.
Then if you give me the freedom, a move like queen to e1 and bishop to h1, and white's ready for Fisher random chess.
Absolutely. By the way, a very nice tactic in this position is possible. Just rook c1, and she plays it. Boom,
Wow.
brilliancy on the board. Rook takes c1 happens, and queen takes c1, and next is queen d4 check, attacking the rook, attacking the king, and she is just a piece up. Padmini can just resign here. Oh, king f1. Wow, bishop d3 check. And
Even
this is
better,
yeah.
king e1, bishop b4 check. All pieces can come to the party. She grabs the rook in the corner. Says, this is anything but GG.
Yup, she's also losing the second piece as well. And there it is. Padmini resigns, and that means Yulia Osmak advances to the finals, which is gonna happen tomorrow, same time. It's gonna be a very exciting matchup. Two players fighting it out for that spot in Mumbai at the end of the year. Uh, Now we know there are two players. There's Mai Narva and there's Yulia Osmak. Based on how they have played in this event so far, Rakesh, who do you think has a better chance of qualifying?
I think you asked me at the start of the day, and I said Narva of Estonia would be my pick for this. But Yulia Osmar, a very, very strong player herself, especially the rapid time controls. But Saj, overall, congrats to both players. They are in the finals. One of them will be flying to Mumbai and be the brand ambassador for season three. We'll see who that is, but that's going to be tomorrow. But before that, chat and Saj, we will be having the men's section taking off four strong players from four different countries, 4,600 grandmasters. Who's gonna win it all? We'll check it out very, very soon.
Oof, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's go.
welcome. We are back with the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League chat. This is the knockout challengers. We saw the women qualifiers. The final is going to be played tomorrow. But let's see, in the men's section, in the men's category, we have four stalwarts, four grandmasters, and I have one grandmaster with me in the commentary box as well. Welcome, Sahej. Take us through your predictions and tell us all about these four stalwarts of the game.
Thanks for that. I think we have four, of course, very strong players. We've got Jospem versus Benjamin Bok, which I think is going to be a very close match. I think on paper, at least, Jospem is maybe slightly stronger when it comes to faster, formats. When it comes to fast chess. So I'm still going to say that Jospem might hold that extra, advantage over there. But the second match is the one where I think I'm not sure what's going to happen because the match is between Andrew Tang versus Abhimanyu Puranik, and I think in classical terms Abhimanyu is the stronger player, but we know the capabilities of Andrew Tang. Yeah, you can at any point when whether it's rapid blitz or bullet, Andrew Tang is a player that is very dangerous. So it can go either ways. So that's the update between these players. I think between Jospem and Benjamin, I still believe Jospem has that advantage over here. So I'm gonna go with him. Between Andrew Tang and Abhimanyu Puranik, I've got no clue what's gonna happen. What do you and what are your predictions?
Yeah, and maybe no. I thought we had liftoff, but not yet. Yes, I fully agree. Andrew Tang, beast in the faster time controls. Classical game. I would have put all my money on Manu, my very good friend, but because it's a no increment, and with each passing second, I think Andrew Tang's advantage just keeps increasing by 1%. So it's just that much difficult. He plays hyper bullet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So Abhimanyu would love to win it before the Armageddon, in fact, without going to the time pressure stage. But it's going to be anybody's game here. And the other semi-final, Sahaj, is also interesting between your spam and Benjamin Book to 2,600 players. I think it's going to be very tough to pick a winner out of these.
Absolutely. And I think Benjamin Bog, is he streaming today? Because look from his setup, it looks like he's streaming, but he's not speaking much. So I'm not sure if he's streaming or not. But I wouldn't be surprised either ways because I think yesterday we saw him streaming and he was playing some spectacular chess. But today he has a really tough opposition. So let's see what's going to happen. We should have liftoff any moment now. We can actually see Benjamin's box screen as well. So the matches have not begun yet. I think they should become any second. Oh, by the way, we do have the first move e4 played by Josbem, and we have liftoff.
Yeah, we see Benjamin also rests his face on his left hand. He is ready to battle, and it's a night off, Sahaj. What a fiery start to the semi-final.
Absolutely. We have the English attack with this bishop e3 and f3. What usually happens is white attacks on the king side with g4, g5, black attacks on the queen side with b5, b4, and it becomes a race on who is going to, be faster in this situation or who remembers their prep, better here because I think that's very important uh, in. In such positions. By the way, knight d5 played. We already see the blue arrow. Bishop takes d5, only move by Benjamin Book. If he
And if
does
you could
not play
have
it,
So sorry to cut you, sir. If you go back to Benjamin's camera, please, because as soon as you spoke about prep, knight d5 was played, Sahaj, and if you could go to Benjamin's camera, please, producer ji, because Benjamin started to look on the right and started remembering his prep. So Sahaj, that means 95 may be a relatively unknown idea, and Benjamin tanking for more than a minute now. It means look at him, Sahaj. He's clearly trying to remember the prep and talk us through. Sahaj, you are a grandmaster. What is Benjamin actually doing right now?
I think it's you said it perfectly. I think he's just trying to remember his prep, but I feel the next move for Benjamin is pretty straightforward because you cannot capture this knight with my knight because I'll capture with ed5 and the bishop on e6 is trapped. If you leave the
Mhm.
knight here hanging, then I will take your bishop on e7 and I will take this pawn on d6. That leaves out just one move, and he plays bishop d5, e5 played, and another only move, which is knight b6. Now, this might be a bit harder to find. But
True.
I have studied these positions before. These knight of positions. Whenever you go bishop d5, knight b6 is almost like a hand move that you play as something of a follow up. So he goes knight b6, finds everything, and now white has to play knight to a5, only moving the position. And you were right, by the way, knight d5, which he played in the move previously, is not very popular. In fact, there were only 15 games in the database so far, and black was doing quite good in those games. So maybe this is Jospin's preparation. Let's see what happens. And
Yeah, for
by the way,
sure. Looks like a perfect choice to test your opponent's memory in a faster format as white with your spam. But you were speaking of studying the night off. Something you don't need to study much is in the other game side. If we go to Andrew Tang versus Abhimanyu, he has
oof.
played your favorite, your pet London system.
Absolutely. And you can see he already has that healthy advantage. Great queenside play, great bishop on f4. This is lovely. I mean, and also this knight can now jump to b3 and then to c5 at some point, and which can cause a lot of problems on the queen side pertaining to this pawn on b7 and maybe the pawn on a6 as well. Um, so I think Andrew Tang looking quite comfortable here so far. I think he has maybe a slight advantage. Like a very natural move in these positions is to play bishop d6 to try and trade off white's good bishop. But what happens is once you trade the bishop off, there is no one looking at the c5 square anymore. So once white goes knight b3 and knight c5, that knight is going to be a big problem to have in the future of the game. And by the way, he goes bishop d6. We might actually see this exact same thing play out.
Yeah, takes knight b3. Knight wants to jump on c5. Knight wants to jump on e5. Loving this for white, but sadly, our good friend Abhimanyu is facing this from the black side. How much worried should Abhimanyu and his fans be at this moment?
Ah, I think this is okay. It's a bit early to say whether it's a sign of worry or not, but generally, if this was a classical game, then Abhimanyu would have to suffer for a long time to defend this position because this threat of knight c5 is always dangerous. Of course, you're not going to play knight c5 right now. Oh, he plays it immediately. I thought he was going to go knight fd2 and trade off this bishop and then play knight c5, but he wants to do it immediately. Maybe he is not afraid of knight takes c5, which was my original concern. Okay, takes.
Yeah, and
Like,
takes with the d pawn, maybe clearing the d4 square for the knight. There we go. And hello everyone in the chat. Kincho Tote is in the chat. Pratik says hello. Poopy Cruz is asking, when do I get Faustino Oro? I think Faustino is getting ready for the prodigy category. We will have uh, him after the men's section. And AK Bijwan, hello in the chat. And lastly, Mrinal Bhai, thank you so much. Welcome. Two-game mini match. Men's semi-final Sahaj. Take us through your predictions. Give me one name in both the semi-finals, please.
now I'm choosing between a good friend of mine and the London system. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a very difficult choice personally for me. So I'm just gonna refrain from commenting London system.
Mhm.
But
The other
and
game
in
is
the
what?
other
Yeah.
game, I feel okay. I'm gonna go with Jospem here because I think he has more time on the clock. He has a slightly better position. He has to find g5 though, may not be the easiest move to play in this position. But he seems to have the bishop. Black has a knight, and pawns are on both sides of the board, which favors the bishop in the end game. So if Jospem finds g5, I
Yeah.
think his chances to increase his chances to win increase dramatically. Yeah, and found.
Yeah, Benjamin Book has to think, how does he get out of this hole? White having the famous Fisher endgame, rook and bishop versus rook and knight. As we see Jospem on the right, he is in the driver's seat. Sahaj, what percentage of games does White go on and win from your rook d6 incoming, by the way?
Yeah, Brugdi. Oh, by the way, blue arrow and played is sort of blocking black's entry to the e6 square, and you have this very nice f6 square in case you need it.
Uh-huh.
And now I think black is going to suffer. You cannot think about winning here as black. I think you have to just try and survive for as long as you can, which is not an easy task for me. I think white can just play very slowly h4, b3, a3, bring the king to b2, and slowly progress on the queen side because black cannot play a move like e4. If you play a move like e4, then I'll just capture, and this pawn on e4 becomes isolated, which can be taken in the later part of the game. If you cannot move this pawn, you cannot move this knight, you cannot move this rook, you are out of pieces. There is no other piece left.
Sahaj, Sahaj, let's quickly go to Abhimanyu's game because he has blundered a piece. What? He
Oh,
resigns.
oh, let's actually show
What?
it what happens here. Knight c6, he played queen takes c6 and rook takes c4 happens and he loses a full piece. That is tragic.
Wow. Abhimanyu, a very, very strong player. I don't think he blunders. Like, I mean, he blunders this, uh, these moves once a year, probably, but a sad end. But this just means Abhimanyu is in must win territory, Sahaj, in their return game.
Absolutely, and the game has already begun. We'll keep switching from this to that to see what are the updates. For now, this is the current position between Jospem and Benjamin Bok, and Benjamin just has made a slight inaccuracy with Rook b7. And as we said, b3 is a very nice move, stopping the knight from getting any access to the c4 and a4 square. You just have to make slow moves here. Play king d2, play king b2. I don't know, play a3, play h4. Slow moves that slightly improve the position because black cannot improve their position, and if you cannot improve the position, then it's a problem. Yeah, because there's only so many there's only so many amount of times you can just make a waiting move.
True, true. You know, the black rook can't move, the black knight can't move, the black king isn't doing anything. White can slowly improve his position, and I think it's just a two results position. Either your spam wins or your spam draws. Benjamin down on the clock, down in the position. I think Jose Martinez, a heavy favorite here, Sahaj.
For sure. The clock definitely says that as well, but he needs to find a way to break through. And where is that breakthrough happening? Can I play King B2 perhaps? This feels like a very logical move to me. The computer seems to suggest Bishop F1, which made no sense to me at least. Oh, by the way, look at this H4 played and now Knight D5. Benjamin has to willingly sacrifice this pawn on A6 or he is close to being lost.
Wow. It's a toughie, Sahaj. Giving up your pawn, allowing white to create this outside pass pawn is tough. You don't want to sacrifice. Knights are a slower piece than the bishops. Sahaj, it's a tough mountain to climb for Benny.
For sure, for sure. And also, let's not forget, he has a minute and a half less than his opponent. There is no increment, which is super
Yeah.
important, especially in the later part of the game. And this time can, cost him later on. If he doesn't find knight d5, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to survive this match.
I fully agree. It's going to be tough for Benjamin Bock to hold this. And said, so nice to see, even in the women's section earlier and now in the men's section as well. We have four strong invited players who beat the other qualified players, but also representing four different countries. And in fact, in this stage, it was four different continents with Andrew Tang from the US, Jose earlier from Peru, but now Mexico, Benjamin Bok is in Europe, and Abhimanyu from India. So, how would you rate like this format and overall this concept of the qualifiers?
I think it's wonderful now that you mention it. Having players from all continents is so refreshing to see, and I love the playing format. Actually, I love the time control. I love that there's two rounds, one with white, one with black. I love the Armageddon as well. It's so simple, so easy to understand as a viewer and as a commentator as well. I think it's a great event overall for everyone. By the way, he goes knight to c3. He does seem to find the two only moves in the position, knight d5 and knight c3. So he is fighting back, and now the ball is in Jose's court because he has to play king d2. If he doesn't play king d2, then the position has completely equalized.
Yeah, and a very cute idea I would like to show. Bishop drops to f1. Let's say some big mistake. White can also be in trouble after pawn to b4 and a simple move like a4, rook d7, and there's unavoidable checkmate incoming.
Wow, and that's just a checkmate. Yeah, that's so actually nice to see. But he doesn't fall for it. He does play king d2 here. Black plays
Mhm.
b4. Oh, there's an inaccuracy on the board. Now Jospem has to go a4 or a3 in this position. And honestly, I think a3 is something that feels more natural to me because you want to break the harmony of the structure and you want to have two connected pawns in the rook endgame, which will be easy to convert. But somehow a4 is just winning here. It's completely winning for Jospam.
Yeah, as they say, Sahaj, pass pawn should be pushed, and Yospem and his fans would love for him, as we see Mrinal in the chat saying Yospem for the win.
Let's go, Mrinal. Nice to see that. By the way, who people in the chat? Who are you rooting for, Jospam or Benjamin Bok in this match? Of course, I think with Andrew Tang and Abhimanyu Puranik, Abhimanyu did have that minor slip up that cost him the game. He blundered a whole piece, so now he's fighting that position, or the match with 1 point less. So he has to score, which is not an
Mhm.
easy task. But when it comes to Jospin versus Benjamin, I think the game is still pretty much on. And by the way, Bishop d3 played slight inaccuracy. Now you can see the blue arrow, Rook d7 only move in the position and played with the threat of e4.
There's, I think, big inaccuracy. Now, the point being, you can't go pawn to a3 probably because of knight b1 check. And I can
Ooh.
maybe pick up that pawn. But Eval Bar says 0.00. Great comeback by Benjamin Book.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great comeback. But still, he's not out of the woods. He has to find some only moves in this position. He has to go knight. Okay, it was supposed to be knight d5 check, but he went for knight d1. I think still the position is more or less balanced. White has to go king f2 now and allow e4, which is not an easy task. If you allow e4, I think f takes e4, f takes e4. You just feel that there is a rook and a knight and a pawn,
Mhm.
and your king is basically unguarded. So you feel a bit scared allowing this in a practical game, but he has to do it if he wants to play for a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is no other way for Josh Memes. Goes King E1. Sage,
Hmm.
maybe. Like another quick example, I would like to show pawn to E4, takes, bishop C4, E3, and black is threatening rook D1 checkmate again. I know rook
Yes.
E6 check is coming, but Josh, be careful, buddy.
Yep, absolutely. And by the way, after King E1, this is an interesting point that E4 is actually not the best move here. You have to play Rook D4, which doesn't make sense because I get
Uh-huh.
that you want to attack the H4 pawn, but you're also allowing Rook A7 and Rook H7. But you have to actively allow this, or sacrifice the second pawn for the sake of activity, which is not an easy decision.
And just with 2 minutes on the clock, we'll have a quick check in on the other games, Sahaj. But because action is flowing thick and fast there, let's see if Abhimanyu, who is in a must win situation, can he create some juice out of this against America's Andrew Tang?
I feel there is the chances are slipping here because I feel there is basically nothing to play for if I can be that frank. Like you are also exchanging the queens here, and you're just playing rook bishop, two rooks and a bishop and five pawns each, and it looks like okay. Optically, I would choose black here because I feel black has a better chance of sort of playing for a win. So does not look very pleasant for Abhimanyu. And he goes queen takes d5, still trying to push. Maybe there is that
Yeah, I
one
think
mistake by Andrew. It is possible.
Yeah, for sure. I think Abhimanyu is hoping his queen side majority. You can see on the left side of the board chat, there's two pawns versus one pawn for white, and maybe Abhimanyu is banking on that. Not sure if it will be enough, but we'll check in on that game once again. Let's go back to the other games, Sahaj, because it looks like Yospem is maybe just pushing it too far with rook h7.
Ooh, by the way, rook d4 he plays and a4 he plays as well. He sacrifices the h7 pawn. Not an easy decision. He has made all the right moves so far, but it did come at a cost of his time being, less than a minute and a half. So that looks a bit scary.
Very scary, If the bishop ever leaves the d1 to h5 diagonal, if you can show an arrow on that diagonal, Sahaj, white is bamboozled. And because of rook d1 checkmate.
Absolutely. You have to keep the bishop here. He goes rook h8, king e7. Now rook h7 check. The only way to sort of continue the game. But I think Josbem might actually play for time here as well. It is possible. He can go
Yeah,
bishop d3, and in some position, he can sacrifice the bishop for the pawn and hope that, Benjamin Boak will lose on time. That's the strategy that you can go for.
and we were talking about majorities in Abhimanyu's position. Says, look at this brilliant minority on the left side again. No, no, in this game itself. One pawn on b4 is kind of blocking three white pawns. So, really nice bind there for Benjamin.
Yep, and also this knight on c3 is also a fantastic piece, and you can see Josbem is contemplating whether he should
Mhm.
repeat or not, and he goes for the repetition. We might just see a draw here.
Yeah, he has two options: play on time or take the draw, Sahaj. I don't think White's advantage is there. Like, if White has any chances here, practically.
There is no longer a time advantage in the position. I mean, you
Yeah.
cannot play for time anymore. So I think maybe it would be a smarter choice to agree to a draw and fight it out in the next game. And he does it. He plays rook h7, and that's a draw by repetition.
Wow, and you see Josh Pim shaking his head on the left. Benjamin Boak knows he was down and out, but some tenacious defense has given him the draw. Let's quickly check in on Abhimanyu's game. Sahaj, he has a 1 minute advantage on the clock. Will it be enough to force an Armageddon? Remember, two-game mini match? 1.5 takes it home.
Yep, and now I think Andrew is just trying to simplify matters as quickly as possible. Right now, there is a threat of bishop b4.
Mhm.
So, because the rook on a1 is undefended, you have to play c3 to not allow bishop b4 anymore. But after c3, black can play b4 and trade off another set of pawns. And that means you are going one step closer to equality. And that means the chances of Abhimanyu winning are very, very, very slim. 0.23%.
That's, I mean, too low. But if you're an Abhimanyu fan, let us know your support in the comments because apart from the money, bragging rights plus season three Global Chess League ambassador, you can become the winner of this whole thing. Who will reach the finals? Remember, it's the semis today. Pawn to b4. Andrew Tang, I think, has one step in the final set after pawn to b4.
Yup, you have to capture pawn takes b4 and bishop takes b4 happens, and another set of pawns being traded off, and this pawn on b2 is just not enough to convert the game. And he knows it. 100% he knows this. He's just playing for time right now, but this is Andrew Tang we're talking about. The less time he has, the more dangerous he becomes.
Exactly. And so does Abhimanyu take bishop takes b4 and play for some imbalance? Oh no, he
No,
trades
it
rooks.
would be too risky, I think, from someone like Andrew over here. All he has to do now is just capture this pawn and offer the draw, and I'm sure Abhimanyu would accept it. Even though he would not be happy about it, I think he has no other choice but to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to play rook f1 to protect that pawn, the same bind that we saw earlier, Abhimanyu will try to break free somehow, but I think it's just too little too late here. And even though 1 minute ahead on the clock, sadly, looks like Abhimanyu's run will come to an end here.
Absolutely, because this bishop is also a bit oddly placed. You would love for this bishop to be on c3, so maybe you can
Yeah,
push
yeah.
b4 and try to create some chances, but it's just fairy tales at this point. I feel the chances are slim to completely none. Black also has this option of rook f3, putting the rook on b3, and you can just mess around here. And I think he will be quite happy with this game. That one blunder really cost him a lot. Wait,
Yeah,
is that another blunder?
it's
Bishop f2.
oh my God. Abhimanyu shakes his head. He realizes that Andrew Tang with a poker face doesn't show us any emotion. But yeah, Bishop f2. is just another pawn and the game and the match.
But maybe he's banking on the fact that after bishop f2 he can play b4 and then he can go into the end game and he's hoping that the bishop endgame maybe he will have some chances. Is that what he's thinking?
I think so. It's a great gamble. It doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 1.5, 0.5. 2.5 minutes, even though we know Andrew Tang is a beast in faster time, he plays rook f3, pawn to b4. Let's go, Abhimanyu. Let's start pushing quickly.
Yep, the gamble worked.
Yeah, it at least took a few precious seconds off the clock. Checking, yeah, the other game has just started, so we'll stick to the end of this one. Remember, chat, Dr. Shrey, welcome back to the stream. Abhimanyu Puranik just blundered a piece in one move, and because of which he's in a must-win situation or he's out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tough situation to be in, and he has to push b4, I think, now to have some play. Because if he cannot get his rook active, if he cannot get out of this bind, then there is no hope in the position. And maybe he can hope that at some point he's going to push b4, b5, and somehow try to distract that bishop from looking at the f2 pawn. But it feels very unlikely. By the way, just bishop d4 is very good already. Bishop d4, you cannot even defend this pawn. You have to play
Yeah, I
b4, I
think.
guess, but just rook b3 and you will lose this pawn for sure.
Yep, yeah. King f8. Andrew tries to bring his king. I don't even see a way for white to kind of break free, Sahaj.
Yeah, and look at this. The blue arrow is showing us to play bishop e3 to sacrifice another pawn on f2, which is the only way for Abhimanyu to achieve equality. If he does not do this and black's king reaches the b5 square, he might have to defend this against Andrew Tang, which is not an easy situation to be in.
Yeah, and doesn't matter if you lose or draw. If you're in Abhimanyu's shoes, he needs the win. If he wants to force an argument, and maybe the rook gets free on the h file, Sahaj. I saw your cursor on the going to the rook immediately after bishop e1. I think this is the last throw of the dice by Abhimanyu.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that even if you get the h1 square, then what? Like you don't even have the h8 square. You don't, I mean, if
True,
on
true.
h7, you are not looking, I mean, this is defended by, maybe you can play rook h4, provoke f5, and then you can play rook h7, and maybe the rook can find some activity there. But yeah, he's playing on time, I think. He's just playing because he's hoping for a miracle.
Yeah, I think he just needs to play fast and hope for something. There's no other trick up his sleeve any which ways. Rook b3 going after that pawn. Bishop c3 might be also incoming, just trading everything.
hmm
But
And now e5, f4 incoming as well, and suddenly you have to defend. Oh, by the way, is this bishop trapped on e1? On e1, because I can play king d3, king e2, and there is no place
yeah,
for this bishop to go anywhere.
exactly. He goes for that. And king f1 is such an ugly move. You don't want to play that. And oh, Andrew Tang just keeping the pressure.
Oh, he's
This
just
is hard
repeating.
to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah,
He's just
they're
repeating. He
repeating.
doesn't have to repeat, but he's just repeat. Oh, he plays king f1 to continue the game, but king. Oh, this is bad. Bishop takes f2 incoming.
Bishop f2 incoming. Abhimanyu shakes his head probably for the last time in this edition of the Global Chess League, Sahaj.
Maybe
Dominant display and just
he can play rook e2, hope that his opponent plays bishop c3, and then rook e3 is checkmate.
oh,
That's nice. I mean, it's
yeah,
some
yeah, that
consolation.
was cute and never relax in a chess game, as they say. Takes, Sahaj. It's just so. Oh, Bishop c3 again, Rook d3 check.
Yeah. So some hope, but rook takes e1 is just winning. Yeah, for black. Rook takes e1, bishop c3, and you take this, and then you push this pawn down.
Yeah, we see Andrew Tang just calculating that he is a bullet master, so he knows he can figure it out. Oh, g3 is even more cute. Just g2
Beautiful,
check.
actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is gone. This is just gone. He has to go f takes g3. And now bishop c3 incoming, at g2 check is also there. This bishop f2 also incoming. Whoa, this is so bad.
Yeah, this is GG's. Abhimanyu even down on the time now. Didn't matter much, but a dominant display. 2-0 win incoming for Andrew Tang.
It's actually a mate in 15 from what I can see from my bar. So
Wow.
that's a big sign that things have not gone Abhimanyu's way. I think probably after blundering that piece in the first game, I mean, I think it probably took him completely by surprise and he wasn't able to recover in time. And look at this. Black can play Rook C1 here. This is such a beautiful move.
Oh
Because
my
look,
God.
I have to show this to the chat. Rook C1, Rook takes C1 and G2. This is very cute.
Beautiful checkmate with the mere pawn. We go back to the live position. Andrew Time maybe he's thinking of that. He just plays bishop e3. Still, Sahaj, your idea can be possible.
Oh, I
35
mean, would
seconds
you,
though,
if I just go
Sahaj.
Rook B5 here, if I just go Rook B5 in this position, imagine having to defend a Rook Bishop versus Rook with no time on your clock. He plays Bishop D4, by the way.
And that too against Andrew Tang.
Yeah, that's not an easy. By the way, this is now oh Rook F2 check only move to survive. This is insane. Rook F2 check is just
Wow.
insane. Oh, just play G2 and just take on E1 and that's it.
Oh, he plays it.
That's a nice move. That's a very nice move. It's a good finish by Abhimanyu. If he just takes, oh, he plays King G4. What? But why? I don't
What?
understand why. Why is Andrew Tang playing this?
I think he just backs himself to win. But if he loses this by some miracle, it would be so sad.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, by the way, Rook Bishop versus Rook. We have. Oh no, there's Rook B3 check, and he just wins the Rook, and he has 10 seconds on the clock. I think he's going to win. Maybe he can. Maybe Abhimanyu can try to flag him, but this is Andrew Tang we're talking about. That's not gonna happen. There it is. Andrew Tang takes it 2-0 win and is the first person to qualify into the finals.
Yeah, congrats to Andrew Tang. He's assured of $1,000 in prize money, but more importantly, 7,500 up for grabs and being the season 3 ambassador for the Global Chess League. And we might see him in Mumbai, Sahaj, if Andrew Tang manages to win tomorrow as well. But let's see who's going to join him. Will it be Jospep or will it be Benjamin Boak?
Right now, Jospem seems to have a very hefty time advantage of around some 2.5 minutes or so, which is a lot of time. And he can go d take c4, and he has this very nice sort of passed pawn in this position. He has a better position and he has more time on the clock. So I'm inclined to say that maybe he still maintains some good chances to win this match. He goes bishop takes a3, doesn't go for the most, doesn't go for d takes c4. And now Benjamin has to find queen a2 in order to survive in this game. If he doesn't find queen a2, he is in deep trouble.
Oh, and just 3.5 minutes on the clock, Sahaj. This is looking like a Jospem versus Andrew Tang final loading.
Oof, that would be insane. I'm already excited for tomorrow. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but do you think Benny can somehow find Queen A2? It's an insanely difficult move to find, to be
I mean,
honest.
he's taking his time to consider all of his options. So, I mean, generally, when you're thinking means you feel that there is something in the position. So, if he feels that there is something in the position, he will find it. And Queen A2, even though it's a difficult move, it does have basis. The basis is very simple that you want to get away from the spin. He chooses Queen D2. So, he has the right idea, but the wrong approach, apparently.
Yeah, and can Black just capture D takes C4, Sahaj?
Yes, only move I think to keep the advantage. White has then rook b7, then you capture the pawn on a7. But you can play on the might of this c4 pawn, and you can try
Mm-hmm.
to put some pressure
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that
on book.
looks tough. Zero point 0.7 advantage, Sahaj. We know that is not easy when you're playing against Jospem, especially with just 2.5 minutes on the clock.
Absolutely. Rook b7 played, getting on the seventh rank, attacking the queen and the pawn. Black has two options here. I believe there is queen c5 and queen f6, but somehow queen c5 is not liked by the. There's bishop e3. Never mind. So not queen c5. Queen f6 leaves, I think, the only other option. He goes queen d8. He's happy to go into the end game. He really believes in this pawn. Whether this is going to be enough or not, I'm not so sure. But if I was playing this as white, I would be very scared. I would think that either you stop this pawn or you can just resign.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big mistake, Sahaj.
Yup, he attacks the bishop, denies the queen trade, and now black has the option of keeping this pawn on a7 alive by just going bishop c5, and he retains an extra pawn and a 2.5 minute lead over his opponent as well. That is I think, a very comfortable spot to be in for Jospam.
Yeah, I think bishop c5, and if black drops the bishop back to b6, the rook on b7 is kind of trapped.
That's a great point. That's an amazing point. You can go bishop d5 and just put pressure on this rook, and it might not have any squares. Or you can
Uh-oh.
just go a5 as well, bishop b4 and display c3 as well. That's also possible.
Both options pretty good. 4.5 minutes. I think Jospen has 1 foot in the final. He is so close. He can sense it. He's almost on, a booking website looking the flights to India. How much long is it going to take him from Mexico to India? But Sahaj,
That's a
do you
long
think
journey.
Benjamin can? It's a long journey, but do you think he can? Does White have any chances to save it and force the Armageddon here?
I think unlikely. Unlikely simply because the time is very low and the position looks very uncomfortable for Bok here. I think if he is able to, if he manages to create some action on the king side, perhaps via h6, h5, h6, or just sacking maybe the bishop if black pushes h6 himself, then maybe yes, we can think about it. But right now, it does not look pleasant to be playing as white here.
Yeah, I think also just push the pawn to c3, and they say the knight is the best blockader in front of a pawn, not the queen, not your strongest piece out there. And I think the queen is just kind of ashamed of doing this duty.
Of course, there are no knights present on the board itself, so having a passed pawn can be a very dangerous thing to face. Um, but yeah, the question is, does he play c3 or does he keep the pawn on c4? Because it is nicely defended by this bishop over here. I think he needs to start
Mhm.
pushing some pawns. I would play c3, I would go a5 and just try to get the ball rolling here. He goes queen a5, nice move,
Now the
activating the queen,
queen,
connecting the rooks.
yeah,
Bishop f5
a
maybe on the
minute
horizon.
50 for Benjamin. Bishop e4, he stops that, attacking the pawn on h7. Your spam defends it.
Now, bishop d6 only move to survive in this game. Otherwise, you have basically a winning advantage. So now, after rook b1, Jospem is technically winning. He has to find bishop b6
Wow,
and he's technically winning.
he
Okay, rook
doesn't.
f8.
Benjamin's still alive.
Yeah, but he's alive with 1.5 minutes on the clock. So I'm not
Oh,
so sure if
that's
this is going to be enough. Bishop g.
so
I'm thinking of
tough.
some crazy bishop g6 ideas, but probably it's too much and it doesn't
The
work.
point is, there's no threat. What if I don't take that piece?
Oh,
Oh,
wait,
it's a
that's a mate.
blunder. Queen e1, queen f2. Queen e1, queen f2.
What? He just
Sahaj,
blundered a mate in two.
you
Queen
see your
e1, queen
spam
f2.
bobbing. He knows ticket to Mumbai is about to be confirmed. Benjamin Book, hands on his head, all three of us. Sahaj, what a blunder.
Yep. Wow. Wow. Okay, the position was technically lost for Benjamin, but yes, that's a huge blunder by Benjamin. And I think he can just resign here. You can see the you can see the disappointment in Benjamin's face over here. He's definitely not happy. Even if you lose, you don't want to lose like this. Yeah, you still want to give a
Yeah,
good fight to your opponent. This is not how you want to lose. So he's definitely not happy and rightfully so.
and see, he has not resigned. They're just chilling in chat. They're just, and as Jose has a nice sip of water, he knows he's there. Benjamin's clock is ticking down, Sahaj. He has not yet resigned. He can't believe what he's just done. And I think your spam has maybe pre-moved Queen F2, Queen G1 checkmate.
Yeah, you can basically it's a pre-move. Doesn't matter what white plays, you just pre-move both of these moves and it's just game over. Wait, Benjamin is not resigning though.
Yeah, I think it's just the inertia. He's just taking it in. He's not
Wow.
resigned yet. I don't see a
I think he's gonna
result.
lose on time. Wow. That's interesting actually that he's not resigning. Yep, he did
There we
not
have
resign.
it.
He actually lost on time.
As you can see, Jose Martinez won on time officially. He is into the finals. Congratulations, Jospem. Jose Martinez Alcantara is into the finals for tomorrow. He'll be facing Andrew Tang. Sahaj, I'll put you on the spot. Tell me, who is your favorite, your pick to get the flight to Mumbai?
Jospem, I think. For me, I think because I think Jospem is very impressive when it comes to faster formats. He's also a
Yeah,
very good classical player. He's around 26-30, 26-40, something like that. So I think I would say he has, at least on paper, he has a better chance. But Andrew Tang is so dangerous in faster formats that you cannot rule him out. So it's gonna be a fun final regardless.
for sure, for sure. And Sahaj, we have Yulia Osmak versus Maya Narva in the women's category in tomorrow's final. Like you just mentioned, Jose Alcantara versus it's Andrew Tang in the men's category. I don't know who will qualify for the prodigy category because Sahaj will be seeing Faustino Oro and three other stars, including Grandmaster Pranesh as well, Pranav Anand there in the mix as well, play in the prodigy section just after a very short break. Chad, we'll be back with the prodigy section. Don't go anywhere. And we are back, Sahaj. We found out our women's category finalists, we found out our men's category finalists. But now it's time for the all important Prodigy board. Sahaj, take it away. Tell us more about the four semi-finalists and which match are you more excited for?
So there are four players, two matches. There's of course the Faustino Oro. I think that's he's I believe the highlight of the entire match, the entire year. I would say because he's on track to become the youngest grandmaster in the world. Already has one grandmaster norm in the bag, and searching for those uh, last two. And he's already got the rating of 2500 as well, which is insane considering he's just 11 years old. And we can see him on the screen right now, fully focused with that amazing background that he has. I mean, we should take some tips from him, how he's arranging his background over there. But yeah, actually, we have lift off. And the other game is, of course, the all Indian matchup between Pranav Anand and Pranesh. And I think I would say, very evenly, spread out for me. I'm not really sure who's the favorite there, but it will be fun regardless. Question for you, Rakesh bhai. In this match, Faustino Oro versus Denis Lazovic, who do you think has a better chance of scoring a win?
I think that question was actually going to be for you, but it looks like, I would give my prediction about this game that Denis Lazovic is just that much more experienced. He's been there, he's beaten the top guys, Magnus, Nakamura, and all included. I think I would pick him as my favorite in this faster time control. Of course, Faustino, talented youngster about to be a GM, but Denlas has already been there and doing that. He would be my pick. How about you?
I think that's a pretty safe bet, I think, at this point, considering on paper, at least from what I'm seeing here, he has a rating of 2287 and Denis Lazovic has a whopping 2763. He's higher
Yeah,
rated than the men's section, yeah, anyone in the men's section. So the Prodigy is the highest rated player at this very moment. They say chess is becoming a young man's game, and I think this is a proof of that. But yeah, the game is still on. I think we had an Italian on the board. Black has these double pawns on the center, e6 and e5. This can become a source of worry in the later part of the game. However, for now, Denis Lazovic, I think, is holding the position pretty solid. And I think we should jump to Pranav versus Pranesh as well to see what is going on there as well, because I see the bar kind of jumping up in Pranav's favor, who's playing with the white pieces here. He has a +1
ooh,
advantage. I think a very comfortable advantage, I would say, because this bishop on b7 is not best placed because it's blocked by this d5 pawn, and white is enjoying this sort of space advantage in this
I
situation.
love Bishop e2 Sahaj, planning to take knight takes e5 in the center and bishop capturing the knight in the corner is a big threat by Pranav. And one good thing, Sahaj, we had Abhimanyu in the men's section, Padmini as well in the women's section, but no Indian player could make the finals for tomorrow. But I think with this clash, Pranav versus Pranesh, we will have at least one Indian in the final and lots of things to cheer for the hosts, Mumbai or India, in this case, in the third edition of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League.
Absolutely. And by the way, big mistake by Pranav. His last move, Bishop F1, was a huge miss. He
Oh,
went from being +2 to being now worse in this position. He's on the verge of defeat here. Knight F4, he goes. I believe the players are playing a bit too fast for my taste, because I think there are, like instead of Knight F4, for example, he spent 3 seconds here,
oh,
G5.
it's a big blunder, Sahaj. The game is over.
What's
What?
going on?
Knight takes e3. Pranav has just given an early Diwali gift, and Pranesh is about to win the first game.
Yeah, you can see how upset I think Pranav is with his last move. It's just dead lost. It's
Yeah,
completely lost.
he fell into the trick. He was trying to play give move for move to Pranesh, but it has just backfired. And Sahaj, tell us why Pranesh is completely winning.
There is Queen G3, I think, which threatens the G2 pawn, and you
Oh, knight
cannot take this
h3 check.
knight. And because there is a rookie one hanging, there's knight g2, knight h3, bishop h3, rook e3. All of these threats are possible in this position. And I think the best move for Pranav here is to resign. Like there is
Yeah,
nothing
look
you
at
can.
him. Look at his reaction, Sahaj. He shakes his head three times in a row and he knows he's busted. And Pranesh has just used 100 seconds on his clock. Beat that, Grandmaster Grover.
Wow, 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 wow. And it's a very I would say like a bit of a careless mistake for me because he played king h2 in this position and black just gave
Mhm.
a check and then he had to bring his king back to g1. So huge oversight from Pranav over here. I think probably he was trying to play a bit fast and just miss something in the process of doing so. By the way, he goes king h1, rook takes e3. I mean, at this level, you are not surviving this anymore. Black, look at, I mean, he's not just a pawn up. Look at this, the might of this bishop on g7. All of
Mhm.
white's pawns are fixed on the light squares, and all of these dark squares are up for grabs.
Absolutely,
You don't
Sahaj.
survive this.
Yeah, very little chance. Bishop coming to e3, queen coming to g3. Pranav, you see him's not comfortable at all. While Pranay shakes his head nicely, he knows that's a trademark head swing in a way. Queen b3 offering the
Like
trade.
this,
Do
yeah.
you?
I've seen him do
Yeah.
this.
Do you go for the queen trade, Sahaj?
No, no, no. I think avoid it because you can just checkmate here. I mean, you should only exchange if you're getting something more than just a pawn. That's when, oh, wait, he trades. Wow. And
There's
that's a weird
a
decision for
small
me. Queen
lifeline.
f2 is, yeah, he's still winning, but now I think he has, I mean, Pranav can now breathe, which is, which
Yeah.
is something that he was looking for. Before it was just completely lost, but now he has some room to find some counterplay. Let's see if he's able to capitalize on that.
That from minus 5.3, Pranav has pulled it back to minus
Minus seven.
2.7.
Minus
Oh
seven
yeah,
it
minus
was.
7. So he's pulled it back a little bit, but still down in the clock, still down in the position. Two bishops for Pranesh. Looks completely winning. Let's have a quick 30-second look at Faustino because looks like he might have let go of an advantage.
It looks pretty balanced. Black again. This e6, e5 pawns are the source of worry for me, but I think he has managed this quite well. Look at his last move, knight b8. I mean, this just shows the class. He not only is he offering the trade of queens, but he's also gearing up to push his pawn on c5 and then bring his
Yeah.
back. Oh wow, goes knight c6, offering a repetition. I thought he wanted to play c5 and then knight c6, but no, he has other plans. He's offering a repetition to Faustino Oro immediately.
Cheeky, threat there by Dennis Lazovic, but I still feel, he is a beast when it comes to these faster time controllers, especially on chess.com. He has been there, done it against the best in the world. But it also might be a strategy to burn a little bit of Faustino's clock. And Sej, do players do this to check, hey, is my opponent comfortable with a draw or he wants to play on?
It can in a classical match it can be a psychological tactic, I believe, just to repeat the moves once so that your opponent is okay with a draw and then you hit them, with a shock that no draw anymore. But in faster formats, I believe you don't have the time to kind of digest all of that, and I think you're more okay with sort of making a repetition because it's faster formats, and especially in this format you have the next game as well, which can decide the fate of your qualification. So I think here it matters less, but in classical for sure it matters more. By the way, let's switch back to Pranav versus Pranesh because this is now a completely dead loss position. He's back to being -5.
Yeah, it's the rook end game. We have heard all rook end games are drawn, but would love to see how that is being proven false here. And if you could have Pranav Anand and Pranesh's cameras there as well of the other board, would be nice to see their reactions. Pranesh about to pounce on a big win here, Saj. I think he's played this in his style, and I feel Pranav kind of fell into the trap of playing fast in this one.
Yeah, I think he was playing a bit too fast, that maybe he's not used to it, or maybe he he definitely messed up something there. He was playing a bit too fast. And now I think this is definitely over. There is nothing to save. When you're already 2 points down, you're about to lose a third one as well on H4, on C3. I mean, everything is falling apart. This puts Pranav in a very tough spot because now he has to play for a win with the black pieces or else he's eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, in a 10-minute rapid game, if your opponent's hand is not on the mouse, he's drinking water, you know you have messed up pretty badly. And I think Pranav just contemplating on when do I resign rather than if should I resign. It's absolutely GG's a rookie for coming in. Very, very nice, resounding, strong win by the Chennai youngster Pranesh here. And I think he is super, super close with this win. 1 foot in the finals, Sahaj, and maybe that Chennai Mumbai trip is looking likely for Pranesh.
Yep, he's definitely gonna make it. I mean, it looks like he's gonna make it to the finals because playing with the white pieces, you're already up. You just need to hold off a draw. Things are looking very positive for Pranesh, but let's not, count out Pranav just yet because he is full of surprises. He's an extremely dangerous player. Let's see if he can pull off a win with the black pieces. I'll switch back to the Faustino Oro board for now, but we'll keep an eye on the other board as well to see how it plays out. But for now, it's crazy. Yeah, this match is not even halfway done, and the other match is already finished, and they're starting the second round as it is.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll stick to this game because I think the other game will still take time to heat up. But Bishop D2 by Fosti, he's a little better, Sahaj, but 1 minute disadvantage on the clock. How much that is going to affect the game here.
It's a good point, but I think right now, I think not so much because the position is pretty dry.
Mhm.
You can make a bunch of waiting moves like knight g3 or rook a1 or something like that. That just doesn't change the face of the game a lot. But once the position becomes tactical, then he's going to need that time. But Fausti is, I think, exceptionally fast. And also being 11 years old kind of helps you, I think, in this sense because you can
Yeah,
play chess way faster. So I think he
goes
wouldn't be
for
that
it.
stressed about having less than a minute on the clock.
Yeah, and Faustino goes for it. Maybe we call him Fastino Oro with his bullet skills there, Sahaj. But looks like Dennis Lazovic trying to come up with the goods. Should he take the pawn on c3 to open up the diagonal for his bishop?
If he takes this, then I think these pawns again become a source of worry for me. I don't want to take on c3 and I don't want white to take on d4 either. I think this tension is gonna remain for some time at least because oh, by the way, knight managed to very strong move playing knight g4 and putting pressure on the e5 pawn. So now d takes c3 becomes really unlikely. But let's see how Lazovic actually bounces back because right now Fausti is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, for sure. He's not yet allowed to drive legally, but Fosti definitely in the driver's seat there. And Sage, can we have a quick 30-second look at the other game? Because I don't know what's wrong with me or these two kids, but 21 moves have been played with just 1 minute spent on the clock. What's going
I
on
think.
in this match? Do both the players have a flight or a train to catch?
Wait, wait. Pranesh just blundered a pawn on f2. I don't know
Yeah,
if this is the strategy for these guys, but they know they have 10 minutes, right? It's not a bullet match. It feels like a bullet match to me somehow.
exactly.
It just
Yeah, and if you
feels
just go a
it.
couple of moves back, so just that is like yeah, sir. If you could just go a couple of moves back, I was just trying to make that point. Knight was on e4, very nicely protecting everything. It was Pranesh who went knight d6 and everything and lost the pawn. Like, why would you do that?
I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. But maybe he knows that he's already up in the game, and maybe he is relaxing a bit too early. It is possible. But okay, it seems like he's recovered for now. And okay, some pressure on the b7 c6 pawns as well. So some problems for Pranav. The position is okay, evened out more or less. But I still think giving up the f2 pawn was completely unnecessary in this match.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I think I'll switch back to Fausti because they have very little time. Both of these players, only a half a minute difference, And Fausti seems to be
And
having a close
that's
to a
the
winning
speed
advantage.
edge.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Just jump right into its edge. Yesterday, wow, I'm impressed by Fosty.
Yes, for sure. He's definitely, I think, um, putting a lot of pressure on Denis Lazovic here. He's already having a +1 advantage, I think, thanks to these two sort of weak pawns in the position. Knight G4 is incoming. That's a mistake, by the way, by Denis Lazovic. Knight G4 is a very strong move. He doesn't go for it. He goes Knight HF3, same idea. And now maybe H4, H5 to try and put pressure on this E5 pawn and remove this defender. Because remember, Black cannot play H5 himself because of Knight G5 check. Oh, this is
Yeah,
bad.
he goes for it. Fasty's advantage keeps
Mhm.
increasing. Sahaj, this is getting serious for Denis Lazovic. I would be worried if I'm a Denlas fan.
For sure, I think Fausti might even just pull a win on the first round itself, and what an upset it's going to be. Beating Denis Lazovic in this format is so impressive. Okay, he goes
Both
B4.
players, Sahaj, 2.5 minutes. Quick predictions. I want a prediction, Sahaj, for this game.
Fausti wins the first game. What do you think?
Very, very smart with the words. Yeah, I think so too. Fosty wins this game.
No, I think if he wins, his chances to qualify increase
Sahaj.
dramatically.
Yeah, but whose qualifying chances are decreased? Pranesh has blundered. Let's quickly go to that
What?
game. What in the
Wait,
world is going on?
Wait, this was the position we looked at f5. That was a blunder. Now knight b7, f4. He plays rook f3, rook g6, and now rook b8. And this knight is now trapped.
Exactly, two
Wow.
blunders in a row. Queen can slide across and capture, right? I mean, after
Hey,
if you recapture
just
the pawn.
just a free piece. Wow, Pranav strikes back. Let's go. We'll see an Armageddon here for sure.
Wow. And look at
I
the
think
time sets. 7 minutes for Pranav.
Yeah, I think both of these players are playing a bit too fast considering the like that's 10 plus 0. It's not 1 plus 0, it's 10 plus 0. So playing 33 moves with only 3 minutes taken for both of them is way too less.
Fully agree.
And
Saj, let's switch back to Fosty's game.
yeah, there we have it. This is the current position. Knight takes you. Wow, Fausti has having a completely winning advantage over Denis Lazovic now. What a turn of events. Look at these connected pawns. They are so amazing, I think, to look at. And he's also a pawn up, if I'm not mistaken. So everything going Fausti's way here.
Yeah, except this B3 pawn. I'm a little scared of that, Sahaj. The pawn is not going anywhere now, but you don't want to just relax about this pawn on B3.
And he listens to you. He goes rook b1, places the rook in front of the pawn. There is no b2 threat anymore, and this knight is kind of stuck defending this pawn on b3 as well. So
Yep,
things looking
yep.
quite difficult for Denis Lazovic here. He has to find some crazy counterplay here immediately, or he's busted.
Yeah, I think Fosty's plan looks clear. The queen is a little offside, but no clear way for uh, Denis Lazovic to attack that Sahaj. Denis Lazovic under 60 seconds now. The clock is
Wow.
ticking.
Wow, Queen B5. By the way, it's a very interesting fact, but it looks like the second match between Pranav and Pranesh is about to finish, and Fausti has not even finished the first game.
Yeah, and wait, are they repeating?
No, 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 for
No, no,
sure not. I
Fosty
think
wins
he
this.
was this was that tactic, yeah, just to make sure. Okay, do you want to repeat? Do you know your position is worse? Yes, good. Now I will not repeat anymore. This is
Bro,
a psychological
49
tactic.
seconds. I think Queen A6 again. He captures the pawn, Sahaj. Maybe that opens a few lines for the bishop.
Second pawn secured. I think now, oh, knight f5, knight f5 taken. Now, this b3 pawn is Dennis's only hope in the position. This is the pawn that can save him. If this pawn goes away, then his chances are gone. He takes bishop b6,
Sahaj,
queen.
it's bullet. No time to analyze. 54 seconds, 38 seconds. Let's take it up a notch. Queen H5 threatened. Can he grab that pawn on the other side? There you
Yes,
go. Sahaj
rook
Fosti
h1.
completely winning.
Wait, rook h1, and
Wow.
you lose. Oh, and he doesn't find it. It's okay. Right now they need to channel their Pranesh and Pranav Anand, because now is the time to play fast, guys. Not,
Exactly.
when you have 10 minutes on the clock. Okay, he plays C5.
Foxy
That's an
going for the C
inaccuracy.
pawn.
That's a blunder because he loses the C5
Uh-oh.
pawn.
Oh, oh, Queen is
Oh,
gone. Queen is gone. Queen
and
F7
he
knight E5
loses.
check. Foxy
He
wins.
loses. Wow, Faustino
And
Oro
Laz
takes down
shakes his
Denis Lazovic.
head. Oh yeah, this is over now, Sage. It's just no compensation. Free rook in the corner. GG's. Well done. Faustino Oro wins game one. 11-year-old can be playing in the Global Chess League. Sage, this is huge news for the chess world.
Amazing, taking down Denis Lazovic. Wow, and not even a single smile on his face. He knows the job is not done yet. Amazing. He's
Professional.
just an
Let's go back to the
11-year-old
other
kid.
game. Yeah, congrats to Frosty while they get ready. Pranav Anand just made a brilliancy, Sahaj. Let's have a quick look at that.
Yeah, this is the brilliancy over here. Rook 3 f2 and queen takes a3. I'm not sure why this is a brilliancy. There's rook f6 and there's queen a1 check, I'm guessing, at the end. That's the
Yeah.
brilliancy. So he goes rook g1, queen e7, king h2, queen d6. And I think a resignation by Pranesh is incoming because you're just a piece down. And both players have, one has 4.5 minutes, one has 5.5 minutes. In such a position, you should not have this much time. I think neither of the players should have this much time.
I think they heard the memo that it's a blitz tournament. Probably that's why they were playing so
Bullet, it
fast.
felt
But
like bullet to me. Like, I think the fate of the first game finished, I think, halfway through when Fausti was still playing, and I think the second game was already decided
yeah,
before the first game even ended. So this is too fast for both these players. Maybe they have some like agreement. Yeah, let's play a bullet match. Whoever has less than 4 minutes loses. Okay, he
probably.
goes
And
C4.
Pranesh, who's thinking now, I don't know why, because it's too little, too late. Any chances for Pranesh to make a comeback here, Sanj?
I don't know why he's playing, to be honest. I really don't know why he's playing. What's the point of playing this position? Because you're what are you playing for? Like you don't even have a pawn for the piece, so it makes no sense.
Yeah, true. Complete piece down. Nothing at all for
Oh,
white.
look at this. That was a
Oh.
strategy by Pranesh because he wanted to take that rook on b3. It's a good try, but okay, Pranav's not gonna fall for that, and we're headed towards Armageddon.
Yeah, and while the players will submit in their bids, Sahaj, no time for us to chill because the game two of Lazarik versus Fosti has started and looks like a pretty good start by both players. Solid center, but double fianchetto bishops for white.
I think the fight is about who is going to play d4 first. Is white going to play d4 or is black going to play d4? That's where the question lies. So he plays rook f d8, doesn't go for d4 now. Dennis has to play d4 here.
Yeah, yeah,
I
he
think,
needs to get in d4.
yeah, I think as soon as possible. Because if you take, I'm assuming you're going to capture back with the knight.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
just there's a lot of exchanges happening, so I'm a bit confused as to how this is working out. But d4 was the best move in that position. He doesn't go for it. He takes the pawn on d5. Black captures back with the knight. Very smart approach, I think, because now this bishop can jump to f6 or to f8, where it can very nicely defend this pawn on g7, and you no longer are suffering with IQP anymore. Like if the black pawn was on d5, you could play d4 and you could potentially create an IQP, which could be a problem for black, but that is not happening anymore. And Faustino once again looking super comfortable. He's not even looking at the board right now. I feel like he's just chilling.
What a flex by the 11-year-old Fosti Oro, and Queen
By
is
the way,
beautifully placed in the center. Can't really be attacked. Yeah,
a nice tactic here I just found. Sorry to
go
cut
on.
you off. There was knight e5, then there is queen takes g2, king takes g2, and knight d4 check, and you win the queen back.
Oh,
That is beautiful. Come on. That is beautiful. But okay, I think both players spotted that very
beautiful.
nicely.
I think bishop goes up. Maybe putting the queen on the bishop square earlier is Denis Lazarevic's idea here. I think overall, Foster should be happy with how the opening has gone for him.
Yep, Alekhind's gun, placing the queen, placing your strongest piece at the base where it can be the strongest. And Fausti goes queen f5, sidestepping from this discover attack idea that we mentioned a bit earlier with knight e5 incoming. And knight e5 can still happen in this position, by the way. It might be a good move. He doesn't go for it. He goes knight e1, a bit too safe, I think, for Denis Lazovic, but he's hoping for some mistake by Fausti because he knows if this match ends in a draw, then he is effectively eliminated from GCL. So white goes knight
Yes,
e1.
Edge, and a nice tactic if Fosti just chills with something like pawn to a6, bishop e4, queen g5, pawn h4, and the queen was trapped.
Wow. Wow. G6 and then E4, F4. That's crazy. But he goes Queen G6, does not allow it. He goes Bishop E4, and now the golden pawn has moved. You see, Lazovic knows. Lazovic
Oh,
knows
yeah,
this. Look at
yeah.
this chat. Bishop E4 just for the purpose of provoking the golden pawn, and he retreats back with the bishop. Dennis Lazovic knows what's up.
As they say, Sahaj, every Russian schoolboy knows
Hmm.
all these things. Pawn to a3. I think Denis Lazovic, kudos to him because, chat, remember, it's a two-game mini match. He's in a must-win situation, but he's not going all out for the win. He's just making normal, he's playing it as a normal game and trying to improve his position with every turn.
Absolutely, and a3 I think is a move that does just that because he wants to play b4 and create some kind of
Yeah.
minority on the queen side. Maybe he can create an isolated pawn on the queen side and maybe put some pressure there. That could be his idea in the future. But Fausti just he doesn't care. He wants to double up on the d file, put some pressure on the d3 pawn, and the ball is in Dennis's court.
Yeah, rook d7. I think Fosti would love to double the rooks there, attack that weak central pawn on the d line. I feel Fosti looks comfortable and he's not even worried. He's just playing it as any random game as if nothing is at stake. But Sahaj, a chance to be in Mumbai for the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League, to be the brand ambassador for season three. So much at stake in this semi-final.
Absolutely. He goes queen b2, doubling up, trying to put some pressure on the f6 square. Black takes, white captures back with the rook, and now a beautiful move is on the horizon. Black can actually play f4 here. It's a move that I would not think of in a million years, but it's nice to know that it exists.
True that he goes queen f6. I think game is in the very much in the balance at Sahaj. The Armageddon has started. Pranav Anand choosing for 7 minutes versus 10 minutes
Wow.
for Pranesh.
7 minutes versus 10 minutes. Okay, let's see how that plays out. Right now, I think let's stick to this one. He goes rook c1. Black has to, he's threatening this b4 ideas. Maybe black can play a5 to stop b4. But I'm also worried about d4 here. How do I fix this? He goes 97. Okay, now
It's
bishop takes, rook takes. And okay, d4 or b4. One, you have to play something here. One of the pawns needs to be pushed.
I like pawn to b4, and especially I want to try and fix the pawn structure on the queens on the left side of the board for black. And if I were Denis Lazovic, I would start playing fast because you need to apply double pressure on the board
Hmm.
and on the clock.
Absolutely. There's only a 10-second difference between these two guys. So Faustino is definitely holding his own, not giving any chances. But I see one problem in Fausti's camp, which is that his pawn is on f5. And that means that the potential of the white knight sitting on e5 can be a bit annoying.
True, true, can be very annoying. And Sej, do you think White has enough juice in this position to win the game?
I think time will tell, but for now I feel that Denis Lazovic is the chances of him winning are pretty slim. Let's just put it like that. But he is not trying to simplify the position. Like he could have played b4 earlier, he could b4 earlier or d4 earlier, but he's not trying to simplify the position too quickly. He's waiting for the right moment to strike because he knows that he only has one shot. Then if he's able to do that, then he is back into the game, and we might have for the first time two Armageddon matches, which would be insane. And speaking of, shall we take
Oh
a look at
my.
the Armageddon match and see what's going on there?
Sure, sure. Yeah.
This is the current position.
Oh,
Pranesh with the
and
white pieces.
Edge. Let's watch it from the start because looks like there was a mouse slip by Pranesh.
Oh, wow, there was King F1. Wait, is that what happened in his first game as well when he played Rookie 3? Oh, that's
Uh,
tragic. That's a very tragic mouse slip by Pranesh there, but quickly jumping onto the game. The king is now safe, and you definitely is that another mouse slip? Or did you want it to go Rook 8 or Rook 7? I'm not sure at this point, but it seems like he has
oh, I think
equalized
Rook
matters.
A7.
Hmm.
Yeah, he looks like he's, they call it castling by hand or artificial castling. White's
Mm-hmm.
king is safe. White's rook is on the seventh. Armageddon game, slight pressure, 2 minute advantage on the clock. Good going by Pranesh.
But if Pranesh does not win this, he's gonna be very upset with himself because he won the first round with the black pieces. Everything was going well for him, and just
Yep.
played too fast, I think, in the second match, and it could very well just spoil everything. But okay, the game's not
Yeah,
over.
the
He still has a lot of chances.
game sort of a match, sort of in the other match, Faustino leading 1-0, but Denis Lazovic has zero advantage. As Pranav offers to trade the rooks ahead, what do you do? Armageddon game, do you trade rooks?
Well, I think if anybody must trade rooks, it should be black because at least my queen gets on the open file. But there is not
Mhm.
enough juice in the position for me to play for a win here, I feel. I think this can fizzle out into a draw very, very quickly. He takes the pawn on
Yeah,
d3,
it
white takes
proves to.
back, and now there is a slight weakness on the d3 pawn. This is a problem.
Yeah, me. Does White have some ideas like Knight F5, Queen A7?
He's listening to you. I think he might just
Yeah,
go
it
queen a7
goes.
immediately.
Yeah, but White has to be worried about this Queen C1, Queen F4, perpetual idea.
Oof, that is that is cold. Maybe you can just play king h2, and
Yeah, yeah.
at least queen c1 is not going to be a check anymore.
True, Saj. We might have, the Armageddon ending before Lazovic and Faustino's match. We'll keep an eye on both matches. Chat all three results possible in both of the games. This is what you love to see, Saj. Young prodigies playing for so much at stake with all that blood, sweat, and tears.
Absolutely love to see it as he offers another knight trade. So we're just gonna go into a queen ending, and Pranesh says no because he knows if he goes into a queen pawn ending, his chance to win the game are completely minimized. So he does not want to do that. He wants to keep the tension on the board for as long as possible. But right now, Black's position has zero weaknesses. This knight on d4 is fantastic. It covers both f5 and the b5 pawn. His pawn chain is fantastic on the king side. I feel all he has to do is just say pass. Queen d7, queen f7, queen d7, queen f7. And I think there is not much that Pranesh can do anymore.
True, I fully agree that it's looking tougher and tougher. Remember, it's an Armageddon game. Scores are tied 1-1, so Pranesh has to win on demand or he's eliminated.
Absolutely. By the way, while the player is thinking, while Pranesh is thinking, let's quickly switch back to Fausti versus Denis Lazovic. See what is the update there.
Oh,
Apparently, Lazovic had a pretty good advantage in this position, but he plays Rook A1. And now, after Rook B8, the position is more or less still equal, but still some pressure from Denis's side. You've
yeah.
got the A file, you've got maybe a potential weakness on B6. Maybe you can create some problems on the king side, perhaps via H5 at some point.
Yeah, and I think just looking back into this position from a quick break, looks like Sahaj, White has made some progress, at least optically.
You have pushed the pawns. You've also gotten h4 in.
An open
Uh,
file on the A line, so something.
mhm.
Oh, he's going to double, Sahaj. He's wanting to double.
Yeah, he wants to play Rook A7 and gain access to that seventh rank, and Faustino should not allow this. He should go Knight C8 and played. No mistakes by Fausti. Wow. making only moves after only moves to survive the game, and he does it.
Oh. Under 3 minutes ahead, pawn to f3 protecting the center. Maybe Dennis wants to go use his knight somewhere on the d5 square. Maybe knight b1, knight c3, knight d5 looks juicy.
Yeah. White wants the knight on d5, black wants the knight on d4. But okay, for
Yeah,
white it is much
yeah.
easier to accomplish this. But he's waiting. Yeah, he plays rook b3, defending both d3 and p5 as well. Let's see how he makes any progress in this position, if any. Because two and a
Don't
half
get
minutes
time
for both.
scramble, Sahaj. 2.5 minutes. Let's have a quick 10-second look at Pranesh's game because Pranav has just allowed the white queen to enter into his territory.
Ooh, wow. This is s- actually things are looking pretty good for Pranesh now. Yeah, you can take on f5, I think, and go queen h5 and just take this pawn on h4. That
Yeah,
means he might have some chance after all.
and let's switch back ahead to Faustino's game. Rook drops back. The H file is now opened. Faustino being the first to control it.
Wait, is Fausti the one playing for a win now, or because
I mean,
this
he doesn't need
this
to. A draw is enough to put him in tomorrow's finals. 2 minutes 15 seconds. Both players Sahaj. I think Fausti is the heavy favorite to take this home.
absolutely you got this H magnificent H file. You've got this f4 check, which could be a checkmate actually in the future.
Yeah, yes,
So,
true.
and now he has
Dennis
to play either
protects
f4.
that. But said even a move like Rook H1 and the knight is pinned.
Wow.
It's not looking good. Faustino fans, get ready in the chat to celebrate because he might be in tomorrow's final. And in the other match, looking like Pranesh has just moved his king away. Not sure why, but we'll stick to this game's edge. And Fausti going in with C4 edge.
With c4, wow, that's a nice move by Fausti. If you go d takes c4, there is just knight takes c4. That completely balances out the game. And I think Fausti, oh, that's a blunder.
Oh,
Wow.
blunder!
Oh, that's a huge blunder by Denis Lazovic. Blundering
Oh
the
my
pawn, and
god.
you've got this pawn chain on d4 and c4, and you can just resign. ed4, king e5, rook coming to h3, not to h2, not at the moment at least, but this is over.
This is over. You can say bye bye to the game, the match, the third edition of the GCL. Dennis Lazovic, what have you done? Faustino Oro is just one match away from flying in to Mumbai, India.
And he beats Lazovic 2-0. Wow, that is
Wow,
insane. I mean, I know
amazing.
the match is not over, but still, having this position and beating him the first round, despite having almost some 450 point difference, is very, very impressive.
Yeah, even like rook h2 check, pawn to c3, pawn to d3. Everything looks winning for Fausti's edge. But Fausti has just 1 minute 15 seconds.
10-second difference between these two players, but I think the pawns are just way too far ahead for this to cause any problems. You can just play c2, move the rook, play d3 as well, and this is just easy sailings from here. Super easy.
I mean,
Yep,
look
and
at
played.
Fausti. Look at his glaze. He looks super focused, Sahaj. Just look at Faustino.
Absolutely. Very, very, very impressive. And now Rook H2 check also incoming very soon. The other rook can join in on the attack with Rook H7 or Rook G7, and you can double up on the G file. Yeah, this is over. It's a mate
Oh,
now. Rook
checkmate.
H1.
Checkmated too. Is that
Wow.
okay? White can only stop with like Rook G8 and some.
Yeah, but
It's a
still Rook
mate in
H1,
10,
Rook
Sahaj.
C1.
It's a mate in 10. And
And there it is.
Faustino has one Sahaj.
Wow. Wow. What a performance by Faustino Oro advancing into the finals, beating the highest rated player of the entire event so far, which is super impressive. 2-0. Couldn't have gone better than this. And by the way, we're back into this position where they're
Oh
fighting
my
out.
god.
This is gonna be crazy, I feel.
Yeah, no increment. 2 minutes for Pranav Anand. He needs a draw. We will see the winner of this game plays Faustino Oro in the finals tomorrow. Sahaj, can Pranesh trick Pranav Anand with an extra pawn here?
It's possible, definitely possible, and this is why they say you should study your end games because when it matters the most,
Mm-hmm.
Your end game skills are always put to test. And by the way, only move for Pranav to find Queen D5 here. If he doesn't find Queen D5, it is GG. He might just be lost here because having two pawns is too much. And found. Let's go.
Wow. And you can't go Queen F3 because Queen G5 is a reverse checkmate.
Wow, insane. Best
Pranesh
move
has to be
found.
careful.
So Queen F2 maybe is the move,
Definitely.
yeah?
Yeah, Pranesh has to keep the game alive. Remember, a draw is not enough. Pranesh will be out if he drops this game because it's an Armageddon.
Oh, by the way, after Queen F2 also it's a draw because Queen G5, Queen F5, when you take the Queen and that King pawn ending is going to be a draw. It's called corresponding squares to those who don't know this. It's actually a very common principle. Basically, it's just like distant opposition. This is opposition, and you think of it as distant opposition. And I think he can't just take on F2. I think this is a draw.
Yeah,
He doesn't
he's
take it.
maybe figuring out it's just easy to repeat probably. And he
Takes it.
goes for it's a hedge. This
There it
beautiful
is.
concept, distant opposition. If White King comes up, you come up. If he slides, you slide.
Yeah, even if he goes here, like there is no point in going all the way because you cannot play G3 ever because black is gonna queen faster.
Yeah, he goes down, you go down, or even you come up. No worries.
Absolutely. So this is a
Yeah.
great example of distant opposition or corresponding squares, as they say. And I think Pranav knows this, and this is
And a
just a
chat,
draw.
if you know, say a hack can be just kind of mimic your opponent. If he goes to a dark square, you go to a dark square. So that's
Yes.
a simple hack if you don't know this, but and it's a draw by repetition. Look at Pranav's reaction. Pranay smiles, but it's Pranav Anand who goes through, wins the Armageddon with a draw after a horrible blunder in game one. Congrats to Pranav. Sahaj, how impressed are you with Pranav Anand's game today?
I think it was a roller coaster. I think of all three games because it was so fast, and yeah, I think Pranav making that blunder in the in the first game and bouncing back on demand with the black pieces is super impressive, and then also holding his own in a king pawn ending with an 89 move match is super impressive. So congratulations to Pranav and hard luck to Pranesh. I think he played a spectacular game as well.
Yeah, he played a spectacular game, but GG's to Pranav. You saw him fist bumping. That's what means to him. He joins Faustino Oro in the Prodigy categories final tomorrow. It's the third edition of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League Sahaj. The knockout challengers will come to a conclusion tomorrow. Overall, I will let you take the lead on explaining the summary of today. How impressed, excited were you with today's chess?
I think it was a pretty topsy-turvy day, I would say, starting off in the women's section.
Yeah.
Especially with my Narva and also Olivia Kiolbasa, was it was a bit topsy-turvy in that sense. Padmini also
True.
having some great games. But I think I'm most impressed with how Faustino did today. I think he showed up, he dominated. He's just 11 years old, and he's dominating someone who is 400 points above him, at least on paper, not in classical ratings, but in rapid ratings. So it's very impressive. And of course, I mean, look, overall, I think we saw some spectacular chess, but Faustino, I think defeating 2-0 is something that I did not expect, and I'm positively very surprised. How was the day for you?
I think super exciting. And neither that sip of water after an exciting game said. Women's section, it is Julia Osmak versus Mainarva in the finals. In the men's section, we have Andrew Tang taking on Jose Martinez, another juicy matchup there. And as we discussed in the prodigy section, it's Faustino Oro versus Pranavanand. Sahaj, we'll be back tomorrow for the finals. The winners win lots of prizes in cash as well. But the most important thing is that ticket to Mumbai, where we will crown three champions tomorrow. Three of them will be the season three global ambassadors for uh, the GCL. I'm excited, Sahaj. Last thoughts before we wrap up today.
I think it's gonna be an exciting day tomorrow, and may the best person win. But again, like I think, very impressed with how this match specifically unfolded. And I think Pranav would have to play a bit slower tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, let's hope for the best. And also, looking forward to the match between Andrew Tang and Jospem as well. I think that match is going to be super exciting to witness as well. And yeah, may the best person win.
Of course, let's hope for an exciting end tomorrow. Super Sunday coming up. More than $30,000 up for grabs in this GCL Contenders finals. We'll have three champions crowned tomorrow. Do join us same time. That's 8:30 p.m. India time or 5 p.m. in Europe. Big shout out to all the crew working behind the scenes. The Chesscom team, the Fair Play team, our amazing producer Samay. Thank you everyone and the GCL think tank for this wonderful, interesting format of having everyone and anyone qualifying to the finals of the GCL. We'll be back, Sehaj, with both of us tomorrow at the same time. See you tomorrow. Take care and good night.